Welcome to What in the Duck podcast. I'm your host, Oliver Peck. What in the Duck podcast is proud to be sponsored by Yellow Rose Canyon, your premier event space and campground nestled in the piney woods of East Texas. With cabins and RV sites available, Yellow Rose Canyon is perfect for your next event, no matter the size. A wedding, reunion, festival, you name it. Check it all out at yellowrosecanyon.com. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What in the Duck podcast. I'm your host, Oliver Peck. And today's episode, we have Mike Herrera, singer and bass player of the band MXPX, punk rock band from Bremerton, Washington. Long time punk rock band. They've been going for decades and decades. I'm going to wait till Mike's here to get the actual correct count on how many years they've been a band, but it is a long time. I've known Mike for over 20 years, and I'm excited to have him on the show, and I hope you're excited to hear what Mike has to say. Mike also has his own podcast, but he has graciously agreed to come here to the studio and be on What in the Duck for you guys. So I had to pause that. As always, I'm going to answer some questions to start it off. If you have any questions for me, you can email them over to whatintheduckpodcast@gmail.com. If I answer your question on the show, we will contact you and send you some free shit. Everybody wants some free shit. Also, don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening. If you're on a YouTube channel, you can join and become a member of the What in the Duck podcast. All of these actions will, in turn, make you eligible for getting more free shit. Yeah. Awesome. Who doesn't want some cool free stuff? We got some cool stuff coming up, too. Got some new items that we're going to be spreading around. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, but there's some cool stuff coming down. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Got some questions here. First question from Ben says, "Hello, Oliver. I've been enjoying hearing you talk about the Bike Riders movie on some of the podcast episodes. I'm a fan of the movie and live close to many of the filming locations in Cincinnati. My question is, what is your favorite movie?" Thanks again for the podcast. So you live in Cincinnati near all those places where the movie was filmed, which is supposed to be Chicago. So there's some rundown, dilapidated parts of current day Cincinnati that look a lot like 1960s Chicago. Basically, that's where you live. You live in a place that currently looks like old shitty Chicago. So current shitty Cincinnati looks like old shitty Chicago. Basically, is what they do. Nothing to say bad about either one of these places. But they can't always film in the place where it's supposed to be, so they make a place look like where it's supposed to be. Apparently, it's very hard to film in Chicago because Illinois is like, a terrible state that taxes everybody to death, and it's harder to film in Chicago. But here's an interesting fact I will tell you about Chicago. The movie's not filmed in Chicago, just so you know this, guys. But in the movie, they portray it as such. And just by the fact, this is how fucked up the movie industry is and how fucked up the state legislation is, how fucked up taxes are, and how fucked up the world is. Just they state the fact that they are portraying it to be Chicago. So for them to be allowed to pretend it's Chicago in a movie, the state of Chicago makes them pay a fee to the state of Chicago just for the use of saying that it's Chicago. You get what I'm saying? You understand this? Does this make sense? just to say, hey, we're going to pretend this street is Chicago. Well, Chicago says, hey, we know that's not our street. We know that's not us. We know it has nothing to do with us currently, but for you to pretend that is 1960 Chicago, we're going to demand that you pay us some money just to be able to say the word Chicago in your movie. It's insane. There's not many places that do that. Chicago is one of those places. So some of you might be saying, yeah, fuck Chicago. And you would be just. You would be rightly so in saying such things. I mean, have you been to Chicago? It's a great place sometimes. It's an amazing place sometimes. It's a beautiful place in some places. But the exact opposite can be said also. It is a terrible place, a lot of places. And in the winter, it is frozen over hell. Is this the question what is the question here? What's your favorite? So we're getting off track. But anyway, I just thought that's a crazy thing that Chicago's going to charge the production company, the studio, they're going to charge them money to say it's Chicago. And I guess, the movie premise, was like, hey, we really want to be able to say that this is in Chicago. I think New York does the same thing. I'm not sure. I can't speak to facts, but I know there's not many places that do this, but I know Chicago does. New York might be one of these places also that charges the people to pretend they're in New York. So if you're going to film something and pretend you're in Chicago, you better get ready to write the state of Chicago a check. So your question is, what is my favorite movie? Completely unrelated to anything about Bike Riders movie or Chicago or Cincinnati. Most people that know me know, I'm a very simple by the facts kind of guy. So I don't really alter from what's determinedly true. I just find the things that are like absolute and I kind of stick with them. So, that's why I'm a realist. And I think that, the top number one best cinematic feature of the history of human time is The Big Lebowski. It is the single greatest, movie that's ever been made. Unarguable. I mean, I would entertain like having someone on here to debate that topic, but it's be futile. It'd be for naught, but no reason. There's nothing to argue. There's not even a stance you could take on either side. It's just like you're either right or you're wrong. You're either in or you're out. Whatever it is. We could have a lot of different people on here and talk about what their favorite movies are, but you can't really debate what the best movie is. I mean, it's whatever. But for me, in my circumstance, it just so happens to be that my favorite movie is the best movie of all time. Not everybody's favorite movie is going to be The Big Lebowski, but that doesn't change the fact that The Big Lebowski is the best movie of all time. So, you can have your favorite, and there could be a best. There's some of us out there, that sensible enough to have chosen the best movie as our favorite movie. So that's my favorite movie of all time. I do love movies. I love a lot of movies. There's a lot of movies, and it's very hard for me to even pick a top 10 because there's so many great movies. I love The Jerk. I love The Blues Brothers. I love Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? All great movies. But Big Lebowski, favorite and the best. Next question. Another question about Chicago. Just kidding. That was for John. Just kidding. This question says, yo, Oliver. Been going down the rabbit hole of traditional tattoos and love every bit of it. I'm always wanting more tattoos and want to travel down to Texas from Wisconsin, another frozen over hell, in the winter. Great place in the summertime. Travel down to Texas from Wisconsin to see Elm Street and get some work done. My questions are, who are some of the best traditional tattooers you think are worth seeing? Who is the top of the game? Most sought after? Who inspires you? I hope to hear answers. Appreciate you. Thanks, man. Forrest W. All right. I will say this, man. There's a lot of great tattoo shops in every city, all over the country. A lot, and not just traditional, but there's a lot of great traditional tattooers everywhere. You're in Wisconsin, there's some great tattoo shops in Milwaukee. There's some great tattoo shops. I mean, everywhere. Some of my favorite, I'm just going to say some of the people I think that are the best. I mean, Scott Sylvia is very clearly one of my favorite tattooers who has been, me and Scott are the same age, but he is someone I look up to. He is someone who is like, when I was very young, I looked up to Scott Sylvia, even though he's not specifically my elder, but he is a master. He is a genius, and he is ahead of his time. If you're not familiar with Scott Sylvia tattooing, you're missing out. So he's at Blackheart Tattoo in San Francisco. Great tattoo shop, questionable location, but a great tattooer. He does travel all over and do tattoos. Man, this could be one of those conversations that I just rabbit hole out for forever and talk about great tattooers all over the country. You got Mike Wilson in Florida. You've got, Brad Fink and Michelle Miles at Daredevil Tattoo in New York. You've got, there's just, I'm just going to tease y'all with the beginning. Check out a few people. Check out Scott Sylvia first, and we'll talk about the rest later. This is, it's like movies. There's just too much. There's too much. And, I don't know. I don't get kind of tongue tied or stumped too often on these topics, but man, I refrain from going too long and rabbit holing out on some things. But if you're into traditional tattooing, one of the best things about it is traveling and experiencing new tattoo shops and getting a lot of tattoos from a lot of different people. And I think that's one aspect of traditional tattooing that I like the most, that I was raised on, that I embrace, is the concept that you don't have to get like a whole sleeve from one person. Nothing against other styles of tattooing, and whatever you like, whatever. But there's a lot, like kind of in Japanese tattooing, it's very common for you to get your whole bodysuit by one person, which can be incredible and can be an amazing work of art and can be amazing life dedication to getting that. But with traditional tattooing, you're more encouraged to collect different pieces of flash or different pieces of original art from different tattooers, and having, this tattoo next to that tattoo, and having them collab. And, I got a Dan Higgs tattoo right next to a Dave Gibson tattoo, which is pretty cool. I got a Richard Stell tattoo right next to a Dan Higgs tattoo. And I got, and right in the middle of a Chris Trevino tattoo, I've got, it's like you get all these things and they work together, and it doesn't throw off the motif. Like if you were to have like someone start your Japanese sleeve and then someone else throw another thing in next to it, it's not as cohesive. So a traditional tattooing, American traditional style, you can travel the world, travel the country, get tattoos from different people, and the artist will be stoked to see the other tattoos you have and tattoo next to that tattoo and build onto your collection. And, one of the things I really, really love is we're working, actually at Salt Lake Tattoo Convention just a couple weekends ago, Greg Christian, and a guy came in, got a tattoo from Greg. He had an amazing collection of tattoos from a lot of people important. But Greg put a tattoo intertwined with some of these other tattoos. There was a Lou Hess tattoo that was incredible, and Greg put it next to it, and it was like, at the end, Greg says this a lot, but he's sincere. He's like, he gets done with the tattoo, and he's like, "Thank you, man. It was an honor to add to your collection." And I thought that's a really cool way to look at it. It's like, the customer, the client, the canvas, whatever you want to call them, is stoked to add to it. But, as an artist, you're also stoked to be a part of what they have going on and see the other tattoos are going. And I think that's really cool, when you get to do stuff like that and add on to stuff and put stuff in between or put stuff next to, it's always pretty cool. Sometimes intimidating, when, this guy has this like really cool tattoo from somebody that you look up to and you got to put a tattoo right next to it. But it's exciting at the same time. But I love that Greg says that. Greg gets done. He's like, it's an honor to add to your collection, and it makes this guy feel good about not only the experience he's having right then, makes him feel good about the tattoos he already has. And, it's very common, when tattooers get together or heavily tattooed people get together, mostly tattoo conventions, you end up disrobing and showing off all your tattoos, and everybody can look at all the tattoos that you have from different people and, oh, look at this tat from so-and-so back in the 90s, or look at this tat I just got last month from so-and-so. And it's, and I think that kind of happens in all genres of tattooing. But as far as like the cohesion of being able to be a part of that collection, it's kind of goes more with the kind of tattooing that we do. And I love it. All right, Forrest, thanks for your question. Next question from Tristan, K49 Hunter, says, "Hey, Oliver, I had a question regarding tattooing. What's one piece of old school advice that stuck with you that you would tell new artists just starting out?" Well, the first thing when I started working for Richard Stell is the thing that stuck with me the most about learning to tattoo, and especially, doing traditional designs, is like I would, be trying to draw something for somebody and they wanted a traditional tattoo. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm trying to draw this eagle." "Why? Why are you trying to draw that eagle?" Here's the eagle. Mike Malone drew it. It's fucking perfect. Do the fucking tattoo. Here's the fucking panther. Peking Young drew it. Show that, stop trying to fucking recreate the wheel when you don't even know how to fucking drive yet. So a lot of young tattooers start tattooing and they want to like do their own art and do their own thing and make their own mark and whatever. And the biggest thing is to take it in steps. There's so much reference and so much material out there that you should concentrate on learning to do the good tattoo first. You should use the reference that's there, use the knowledge that came before you to your advantage, and trace the pinup girl, trace the eagle, trace the panther, do the deal. And what people don't understand, I talked about Scott Sylvia a minute ago, what people don't understand is Scott Sylvia draws like everything right off the scratch, draws snakes and draws panthers, draws roses and draws this and draws that. But for years, Scott Sylvia did the stock image and learned it, and then started slowly becoming Scott Sylvia. He didn't just, So if you're a young tattooer and you're out there, just use what's available. Use the flash, use the images. Somebody wants an eagle, give them the fucking eagle. Don't draw your version of the eagle until you've done the real version of the, like before you can fuck it up, you got to know how to do it right first. And there's a lot of tattooers that do wild, crazy shit. And the reason it works is because they know how the original works, and then they can start to mold it. But if you can't do it right, then you're not going to do it wrong correctly, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of people doing shit that's wacky and whatever, but if you don't know how to do it correctly first, it's not going to have the same feel. You're not going to be able to pull it off. It's just going to look fucked up. It's not going to look cool. You got to learn how to do it right. There's no shortcuts in life. Everybody's got to start off the beginning and work their way to the end. So I guess that's the main thing. That's the main advice that stuck with me, is like, just don't rush it. Don't be in too much of a hurry to put your own mark on things. Like, just be happy to do the tattoos and do what's there, and let it just evolve naturally, because you don't really know. You can't really force what you're going to be down the road in art and creativity and design. You can't start out as a new person and know what you're going to do 20 years from now, because that's not creativity. Creativity is letting it come to you naturally over time. So, and that's what I learned. And working for Richard Stell, who is very innovative and he did a lot of crazy shit. And I was like, but I want to do crazy shit like you. And he's like, shut the fuck up. I started out doing this. It took me years to do what I'm doing. You can't just like jump in day one and do what I do. You know what I mean? And he was fucking right. So that's my advice. But it's not my advice. It's the advice that I got and then handed down. So bingo. All right. So coming up, we've got Mike Herrera in the booth. It's going to be great. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, be a member. Send me some more questions. You can always email any question you want to whatintheduckpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll talk to you soon. What in the Duck Podcast is proud to be sponsored by Dream Machines of Texas. All of your used motorcycle wants and needs all in one place at dreammachinesoftexas.com. They have multiple locations, large inventory, and get new bikes in every week. Knowledgeable staff with great service, financing, and extended warranty options available. They also have a complete service garage, so every bike is gone through and brought up to speed before you hit the road. I've bought more than a few bikes from Dream Machines over the years, and I could not be more satisfied. I have also had friends from all over the country buy bikes because they couldn't find a better deal anywhere. You can buy a bike and have it shipped to you anywhere in the U.S. Why buy a brand new bike with that brand new high price when you can get a like new bike with that dream deal you've been looking for? Go to dreammachinesoftexas.com and get a bike and get your ass on the road. All right, we are here. Welcome to What in the Duck Podcast. We are now joined by Mike Herrera, singer and bass player of the world-renowned MXPX punk rock band. How long have you been in this band? It's like 78 years.
Most of my life.
Yeah.
Most of my life.
But it's like, how many years?
We started young. 32 at this
32.
point.
I knew it was more than 30. I just didn't know exactly how many. I remembered, like, because years ago, it was like the 25th.
Yeah.
And y'all did a big thing for the 25th, but that was before 2020.
Yeah, that was a while.
Yeah. 32 fucking years in the same band, which is a monumental thing to do. You know, how many?
It's hard.
A lot of people like change bands. And a lot of people have some early success in a band and then try to move on to a new band, and the new band a lot of times doesn't gain the same popularity as the original. So staying together, I think, is it's a bonus.
We've finally gotten good. It's taken us a while, but I mean, we started when we were kids. We started when we literally didn't know how to play music. We just got this early sort of like success because, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot going on back then around where we were. So it was easy to be one of the better bands, even though we weren't super good, but we were in there. Our ears to the ground, heads paying attention. So I think that made a big difference.
Well, there's also a crossover between being a great musician and creating great music, because you don't necessarily need to be the best players to make good music, because a lot of really good music is simple. A lot of really good popular music is simple. The Ramones are a perfect example of people who started and were moderate players and had a very particular sound. And whether you can argue whether they became better players over the years or not, they retained that simple sound.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked, and they were great, and they continuously created what a lot of people refer to as great music, which I love.
Absolutely.
And so, there's a lot of really, really great technical players that don't ever really create a lot of great music on their own. They end up being studio players, or end up playing on other people's records, or end up just playing. How many people
playing to other musicians,
other people's
other
music?
Artists. Well, I'm saying like other artists like those types of artists because
Yes.
they're doing way hard technical stuff. But the bigger audience just wants a good song. They want a simple song. They want something that hooks into their brain.
Yeah.
All the top 5 hit songs, if you like look on the Spotify, they're all simple, like kind of like repeating melodies over and over and over, and just hitting you with the same thing.
And there's those few examples of like the Billy Gibbons, the Jimi Hendrix, the Eddie Van Halens, where you end up being massively talented and massively popular. But it's not always your skill ability doesn't always equal popularity. But you were saying y'all become better musicians over the years.
Yeah.
But you still
just better writing better songs, everything really. But that's the thing is like, it's not for me to judge necessarily what people really like, because some people really want that raw just energy coming out, even if it's messy, even if it's just there's a lot of mistakes, whatever. It's creating, capturing that emotion. And that's kind of like really what drew me to punk rock in the first place. Was it didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be emotional and good, and it had to like hit you some way.
the freedom.
Yeah.
The freedom of expression, and just to get out there and just blast it out.
Yeah.
And as far as the energy goes, which I think is like probably high on the recommendation list of what you need to have to perform live. You have that energy, and you come out on the stage and you make everybody feel like they're getting, you're getting the show. A lot of times that is a hard thing to maintain on a long tour where it's every night, every city, and you have to come out and play these same songs with that same energy and pump the crowd up. And, some people tire of that and can't keep that up like you have for 32 fucking years. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
I mean, I saw y'all, was that 2 months ago?
Yeah.
And I saw you from afar. I saw the show. Y'all kicked ass. The fucking crowd was pumped, and I was like, man, this is nothing. Y'all is still, it's like 20 years ago. The fans are older. But
Sure.
what I notice is, man, and this is what I was going to talk about, is one of the things I was going to talk about. Now, the people at your show now are the old people and their kids. It's like they were kids when they saw you play 20, 30 years ago, and now they're bringing their kids. And something about MXPX is, and some other bands too, but MXPX is one that I personally have witnessed that people just fucking are lifelong fans of the band, and it becomes generational. It's that catchy, young, poppy, punky sound that you can, like, a young kid can get into. And if you grew up with it, you're still going to love it as an adult. And I think I told you this story, but a guy years ago came to me and got a tattoo from me. He got 2 tattoos in one time. He came to me specifically. He flew into Dallas to get tattooed by me specifically because I had tattooed you, and he knew that. And he got 2 tattoos, one on each arm. His first tattoo and his second tattoo back to back. They were both MXPX tattoos. And I'm like, you want both? He got just,
Are you sure?
Just the head on one arm,
Yeah.
and then the full body on the other arm.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Love that.
and I was like, this is crazy that you're getting basically the same tattoo, on both arms. And he was like, MXPX, it's my favorite band. It's the only band I listen to. And then after talking to him, he was like, literally, I never listen to anything other than MXPX. He's like, me, my brother, my cousins, my children, my family, we all listen to MXPX. We go to every MXPX show. And it's just like, I was like, whoa.
I wonder who this is.
You've met him. You've met him.
Okay, I'm sure I have at this point.
He's older, approximately my age.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Hispanic male.
I think I know who this is.
And he has 2 MXPX
I think
tattoos.
I know who this is. Very nice family.
Yeah, they go to. He's
yes.
he was showing me pictures of you and his whole family together. Like he's met you at shows. But I was like, wait a minute, what other bands? You're like, no other bands.
That's
it.
rare. That's rare. That is rare because usually there's a few others
crossover.
Like, but wow.
No,
hey, I'm not going to complain,
dude. It is. I mean, you have something.
We need to like take his blood, take a sample, study it, figure out what we can do,
put it in the water,
inject it in there. Yeah, into everyone. Sorry, everyone.
But I mean, I've tattooed a lot of MXPX tattoos over the years, and a lot of people have gotten MXPX tattoos. And there's other common Social Distortion, Skeleton, and Alkaline Trio, and the bunch of punk rock bands that are highly tattooed. I think MXPX is probably one of the top ones that people get.
Our fans are hardcore, and it's the perfect tattoo. It kind of fits when you're young, when you're old. It doesn't matter because it kind of just works.
It's this guy.
That guy, yeah.
I was just gifted this vinyl, the self-titled record from 2018, and I'm gonna open it real quick just because we're talking about it.
I got you the red vinyl. So there's red and blue. It's I don't think there's any available anymore. But
let's look at this.
Probably sold out by now.
He knows that red is my favorite color here.
Yeah. So that's the repress.
That's cool.
Yeah, we love it.
Red marble. What do you call that? Do you call that marble?
Sure. Yeah.
Marbleized red.
Translucent marble.
That's cool.
So yeah, I mean, we started making.
So if you want one of these, too bad, you're out of luck. Here.
We have other vinyl. We have our new album, Find a Way Home,
but not this limited edition red vinyl. You can't get it.
Who knows? I don't know. We have a bunch of stuff. We try to actually not sell out these days. Keep
it in stock
because we run our own store online, MXPX.com, and trying to not to make it a commercial, but like we started selling out everything, and it started being so annoying for the customers, people that are buying our merch. And so we just started making more and more. So we're trying not to sell out of the vinyl as often.
Well, to touch on that point, as a band, you retained your own merch.
Yes.
Throughout all the ups and downs of. Was there any point that somebody else owned your merch?
Yeah, well, not owned, but like we had
the rights.
We had bigger rights and bigger companies, or not even bigger companies, just merch companies doing fulfillment, and it never really, we always just at the end of the day realized that we could put in a little extra work and make a lot more profit, and have a direct link to the fans, have a direct link to what product you're making, and be in charge of what you're making, and have it be from you instead of just from some company. And because when somebody's buying from you a shirt with your name on it, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what company it is, it's got your name on it, and so they blame you if something goes wrong.
Yeah. And
so end of the day, we take care of all the customer service, all the emails, phone calls, whatever that is. We've got a really great team, by the way. So just a few people though. It's not like we have an Amazon style.
Well, so many
operation.
Bands will sell their rights to their merch, and then the merch company will take over, and then they'll just start creating different versions of their logos and changing it and making it, just kind of taken away from it. I think you can kind of tell once your shirt's in Hot Topic, you really don't have any choice over what.
That happened to us actually years ago, where we kind of just had a lot of these corporate entities using our name through various licensing deals, and we realized it was very watered down. You got this weird, design that everybody seems to be wearing at one moment, and then this other design, and nothing kind of fit together. And so that was sort of like it was a lesson. It was like, oh, we should change this. One day I Googled MXPX and put like MXPX logo or mascot, or just MXPX, and it was just random stuff. Now, when you Google it, it's a lot more cohesive. If you put MXPX logo or mascot, it's going to be the Poking at You Punk every time. Boom, boom, boom. So, I mean, that was just years of just us putting out the wrong things and letting other people do the wrong things. And nowadays, we're much more thoughtful on the products that we do.
And having such an iconic logo to start with.
Absolutely.
And sticking with it and having it just be a constant thing is also, probably part of the success.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the
absolutely.
consistency is definitely, people know what they're going to get. A lot of times you get, you know, you go see a show of a band you haven't seen in a long time and it's not what you expected. And it's like, oh man, I just wish they'd play my favorite song.
Right,
know?
right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of great quotes from Billy Gibbons about that shit. Like, you got to play legs. You know what I mean? Every night you got to play legs. People
Absolutely.
pay to get in. They're going to hear it, you know?
yeah.
So that's your job.
You don't think Kenny Rogers is playing the gambler every night? Yes, he's doing that. And we do the same thing. You know, we have luckily, you know, one of our biggest songs now is Let's Ride off of this record. And, you know, we just kept hitting it, you know.
It's kind of an anthem type song, too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's
kind of like You're Born to Run.
It's hard to thread that needle because when music is too happy and too uplifting, it becomes cheesy. And so, like, to be a punk band that's actually
but you
positive,
you give like a speech to intro it.
Sometimes, what for Let's Ride?
Yeah. I mean,
true,
you like,
true.
hey, everybody, we're gonna, you know, you just kind of get everybody pumped up. And
Yeah.
you're like, you know, typical kind of like, this next song is blah blah blah, but you have like this little positive like amp up session, you know, and then it goes into it, which gets the crowd pumped.
Yeah,
which I would imagine, you know, that's what Bruce Springsteen would do before Born to Run or something.
I mean,
you know,
all the best times that I'm pumped up, it's usually like going into one of my favorite songs. The artist is saying something somewhat inspiring or something. It doesn't even have to be inspiring because not everybody's that. It's not that type of show for everybody, but just saying something that kind of reflects what this song and how much it means to the people that are in that audience.
Yeah.
And that's all I do is I try to relate it to them right there and what it's meant to me and us. And we're right here having this moment together.
And you're good at that. You've been good at that from the start, though. Because when I
got better at it with Tumble Down, actually. Like
smaller crowds, smaller
crowd,
stages,
you
people
could
right
fail.
up front.
Yeah. And so I try to, I mean, it's not the same show, of course, but like on a bigger scale, MXPX is just, it's become, I don't know, like just a bomb of positivity in some ways. Yeah.
Well, so to throw back to that Tumble Down, for those you don't know, Mike Herrera had a side project that was country-ish.
Yeah. Like
called Tumble Down. You started that probably like 2008-ish.
2007. We started practicing, and then
I was close.
Well, it was probably our first show was 2007. Yeah.
I remember we were in Atlantic City.
Yes.
In the tour bus.
That's right.
And we were going to go gamble, and you had written a song, and you were playing it in the back room, and you said, "Man, what do you think?" And we're just all talking. I'm not saying me specifically. You're like, this song, and you played it, and you kind of played it faster, and then you kind of played it slower, and I was like, oh, that's a country song. And you're like, I kind of thought so, you know. And then that was kind of the beginning of the Tumble Down era, and I thought it was super cool. And I think the MXPX fans, maybe not all of the masses of punk rock fans, but the people that came to Tumble Down shows really enjoyed getting to go back to these smaller club shows and being right up close and being able to, like, you're standing at the merch table after the, you know, it's like nowadays it's a big production and you're separated by a distance to the crowd. But when you're playing those small little club shows, people that are a fan of MXPX get to go see that. To them, it's almost kind of like going back and seeing MXPX when you were kids, you know what I mean? Because it's like newer and littler.
Good point, yeah.
But I love the Tumble Down, you know that.
Yeah, of course.
And so many great songs. And I think you were able to just like, I don't know, you had a different view, because we both love Tom Petty. We both love Elvis Costello. We both love a lot of things that kind of border Americana-ish, less punk stuff. And you were able to make a pretty good mix.
There was other punk type country bands out there, but it all just was, it was usually a little bit more easily definable. Tumble Down was just like, it's basically pop punk with like a really fast folk country vibe with Americana, even like red dirt country style down here. And that's just literally because I took Hank Williams style stuff that I was writing and made it, you know, with my melodies.
Yeah.
And I can't help get away from like my
you still sing like you sing
style. Yeah. And I thought it would be really dumb to like really change my voice. I mean, you know, it can naturally change it. Of course it has over the years, but I didn't want to do a fake country, you know. You know, what's funny is Jarrett from Bowling for Soup, does country
Yes,
now,
he does.
right now. And Bowling for Soup's playing down in Waco soon.
Oh.
Or end of this month. Anyway, lot of people doing it, but like I feel
Face to Face did a country deal.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was like
it was great
right around at the same time as Tumble Down, because the world was so different then.
Close to the time.
Around early, late 2000s, early 2010s, there was really no real touring and promotion for new artists, like maybe pop artists, and that was about it. But the punk rock promotion had gone in the toilet. Nobody was investing in new stuff. So like Tumble Down and any bands that were around in those days, it was all DIY. It was all pretty low budget. Even like Lucero, right? Like they were doing a lot of touring and doing really, really well.
But it was like they were growing their internal
doing
fan
it
base.
themselves.
They didn't have anybody from behind pumping them.
Yeah. So those days were different than they are nowadays, for sure.
I mean, I think Lucero opened the door for all the drive-by truckers and all the fucking
Jason
and all the other bands that kind of like blew up after them. But they were the ones out there pounding the streets, playing shows, doing 200 shows a year, and having all these up and coming bands open for them. And then it's kind of the story. Like Lucero is still one of my favorites. And but all these bands that used to open for Lucero are now way bigger on the charts than Lucero. Like American Aquarium and all those bands are kind of like elevated. Now they go and open for them or whatever.
Yeah.
When we saw,
it's just technology changes and how people find you changes
and Lucero's are all old guys.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of old guys. And they're not getting any younger, and the younger guys are going to do what younger guys do. You know what I mean? They're going to be popular with the younger kids. So Lucero has a strong fan base, but their fan base, just like them, is getting older. So it's a very different dynamic at the Lucero show now.
For sure.
But what I was going to say, when we saw Lucero play at Red Rocks, it was Face to Face Country open for them. And that was really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
really?
Really cool.
That's cool.
They're great. And I've seen, there was a bunch of bands that I thought were really great, like Devil Makes Three and stuff that just, I just don't think at the time when they were playing a lot, there just wasn't a market for that to be that big.
Question.
Yeah.
So face-to-face country.
Yeah.
You're saying face-to-face songs in a country setting?
Yeah. They played country
songs.
versions of face-to-face
What?
songs.
That's insane.
And they also had a couple songs that were...
Trevor, what are you doing out there?
It was
I
great.
didn't know he's doing that.
They had a couple songs that weren't their... But they did play their songs in country style.
Yeah.
It was cool.
That's cool. I mean, it's kind of like, not the same thing, but Tumble Down would play a couple MXPX songs just to fill in that, But, that's interesting. I was just thinking I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. So
I think it's findable on Spotify.
Yeah, I'm
and all
sure
that.
it is, right? Like it's got to be.
I think they have. I mean, I think they have a country,
YouTube at least.
I think they have a country album that's. I think that's not just. I think there's probably some other songs that aren't your standard face-to-face songs too.
Yeah,
I don't want.
Trevor's a good
I don't want to say
songwriter.
too much about what I don't know.
He's been writing songs for a long time.
I love him.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm writing just a bunch of songs and the cycle will go, but right now I'm in that cycle. So just thinking of ideas and executing, putting, acoustic demos, and then I'll bring them to the guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you recording all your own stuff at your studio in Bremerton still?
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's awesome.
It's
like having your place here.
Yeah,
That's like that version of my place.
Yeah.
Because people walk in there and it's wild too.
It's been
not
a while.
The same way.
It's been a while since I've been there, but it was, what have you done to it since?
We've totally built all new acoustic wood paneling walls in the main live room where we do our live streams. And Yuri actually built this giant MXPX lighted sign that's goes behind him. I've done a ton of organizing, moving things around, building curtains.
You had some bunk rooms there.
Yeah,
still have
now
that
those
or
are
no?
just we don't have the bunk. The bunk beds are there. They're just hollow. They're just shelves right
Okay.
now. Yeah. We don't have people stay there anymore. Now it's pretty much a private studio.
Okay.
And it started out as more of like a public studio.
Well, you were recording other bands,
Mhm.
and I can't remember what band it was that was there right before I was there. This is years ago, but you had a setup to where the band could come stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So had little bunk rooms where they could stay there and record their record, and you would produce it.
Yeah, that was an era.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it was dope. But yeah, things have changed. Nowadays, it's just like since like 10 years ago, really, I transitioned to just mainly private. Now and again, somebody will come in and just do songwriting, or it's always a friend in like a big band or something, so it's not like random people. But and if I'm in Waco or something, then I don't need to be there every day, because I'm usually there every day if I'm home in Bremerton.
Yeah.
So
you grew up in Bremerton.
Yeah.
You and Tom and Yuri met as children.
Junior high.
That's child.
Junior high.
That's children.
Yeah. We were children. Yeah, you're right. I just think of it. Yeah, I'm thinking like 12 and under as children, but like, yeah. We were.
You were kids.
We were kids.
Punk kids.
I met Yuri because I wanted Andy and I. So before Tom, we had another guitar player on our first album, Andy Husted, and he was my best friend growing up. So we were best friends as children, like little kids. He just started playing guitar just to be in the band, because I like bullied him. Hey,
you got to
start
play guitar.
And so he took lessons and rented a Flying V guitar.
How much did it cost to rent a Flying V guitar 30 years ago?
$14 a month.
Wow, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. It was probably a ripoff, really, like if you like added it up after a while, but so he rented a guitar and he started playing, and eventually he like bought one. But so I met Yuri because I called the only drummer that I knew, Eric, who went to youth group with me, and he had played drums. And so I'm like, Eric, we need a drummer. Come on, let's get together. And he's like, I don't play drums anymore. I play guitar. I'm like, man, all right, I got a guitar player. Little did I know, I didn't really have him. Sorry, Andy. It was rough at first, but I was just gung ho about it. This is basically 1992 summer.
And you were already playing bass.
I was already playing bass for like 6 months.
What made you want to start with bass instead of starting with guitar? Most singers lean towards starting with guitar.
My mom introduced me to the Police. Yeah. So I was a real fan of all those hit songs. I had, I think, whatever their greatest hits were at the time. So like I only heard all the best songs.
Yeah. I mean, they're the best.
That and so there was a few bands like that. My mom was like, hey, my friend has a band down the street, and you should go, her friend's son. And so I went down there and met all these guys that happened to be in a band called Bad Juju, and sounded kind of like Bad Religion style punk, fast, melodic. And I was just like, whoa, okay, I could do this. And so that's, inspired me to start playing an instrument and get it going.
Very cool. And so keep on going with the story. You met Yuri.
So I met Yuri because, so Eric said, here's this guy, he plays drums. And I talked to Yuri. He had just started playing drums, like barely, of course. So like I said,
I've seen pictures of young Yuri. This is great. I can see you coming. Hey, I want you to be in this punk rock band.
I call this guy. He's like, yeah, sure. We show up at his house in Silverdale, Washington, Ridgetop area. It's just like a suburban type cul-de-sac.
You got to go to the drummer's house because his shit's the hardest to move.
Of course, right? Yeah. You don't know if it's going to work out. So we go down to the basement. It's a split level house, and we start jamming. We have like combo amps, so we bring those in, and he did pretty well. He didn't know, he couldn't really play fast yet. Like I had to teach him what a fast beat was, but everything else, he was pretty good. And during, like, we took a break, and his mom came down with like appetizers.
Snack tray?
Like snack tray.
Apple
I think
slices?
It was like deviled eggs, maybe. Perfect. That's what we need, deviled eggs. Something like that. And we remember just thinking, this is the place. Yes. All right, Yuri, you're in. Because your mom brings us food.
Yeah. That sounds incredible.
So yeah, that's how we got started, and just started doing our own DIY promotions, renting a PA, talking somebody at a church or at a youth hall into letting us do it, and we did a bunch of shows like that.
This was also the era when it was very popular for church youth groups to have like shows and have bands play and have people come to a lot of times in the gymnasium of a youth group or church, and they'd have bands play and they'd attract local kids to come. I mean, get your foot in the door at the church. Hey, look, we're cool. We have rock and roll. Come hang out.
Yeah.
In the same era, shortly after that, a lot of church youth groups would have like skate ramps in the parking lot, or things to get youth involved and come to the church. And so a lot of kind of punk, and it kind of seemed to be more punk rock bands that were doing this. A little bit of rock and roll-y kind of bands, but punk rock and alternative bands were playing at churches. There wasn't a lot of, I don't know why why it ended up being that the punk rock scene kind of joined with the church.
Yeah, why is that? I don't know.
But it was pretty big. And then here in Dallas, there was a church that did it and had a lot of shows. And then there was a venue that opened up here in Dallas that was like an extension of a youth group church. It had all these shows on. Every weekend there was a show, but everybody knew that it was like related to this church youth group.
Sure.
The club was called The Door.
Yeah, we never played there.
And a lot of punk rock bands played there, and it was kind of like this run by the people that ran a youth group and stuff like that.
Cool,
yeah.
I think a lot of, I think there's probably places like that kind of all over.
Yeah, I wonder what was the common denominator that kind of linked church and punk rock up together.
I don't know,
because it's so weird to me.
It is. Maybe because you have to be a rebel to do that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like, it's just an unorthodox.
I mean, the church, maybe the church thought that they already had the country people sewn up.
Right.
And they needed to reach out to the derelicts. So they reached out to where they thought they were needed.
The bad people, the punks.
Let's get the punks. And
yeah.
It might have been it.
I certainly was drawn to punk rock. Like one of the first, aside from the local punk, Bad Juju and other punk shows that I went locally, parties mainly, some of the, the youth centers and stuff like that. But I went and saw All.
Yeah.
And that was pretty early. That was when I was in high school and didn't know. I was actually in junior high. This was before MXPX. I went and saw All. So that, I guess, that really opened my eyes too. Not to the bass playing, but that show.
Carl Alvarez.
He was great. But that show was My Name opened. And for those that don't know, they basically kind of sound like All, like a lot. And so I thought that was All. I thought, oh, okay, I haven't heard these songs yet, but this sounds good. They sounded great. Because back then you don't know what anybody is. I didn't know the guys. And so I'm looking at this bass player and he's playing a Music Man Stingray. And I'm like, that's my next bass.
Cool.
And so that cemented my obsession with Ernie Ball. And then when All finally came on, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. This is All. And Stefan's up there, bald head, wife beater, tank top, rocking out. It was a great show. That was the Percolator tour.
Oh yeah.
So Scott Reynolds was the singer, and that was his Popeye era, where he looked like Popeye.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe he still looks like Popeye, but
he might still. He might look more like Popeye now. He might look more like Popeye now that he's like 60 fucking years old or whatever.
An older Popeye.
Yeah, I saw All a couple of times previous to that, and man, that's my era. I mean, I was in high school, the tail end of Descendants, but when I was a junior, I think probably 88 is when the first time I saw All, and it was
I saw them again with the
Dave
Toadies.
Smalley singing, which I loved.
I love Dave. Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy on people thinking they don't like Dave
Why
Smalley.
don't they like Dave?
I think he was, not to discount anyone else, he was my favorite All singer, but he was also my favorite Dag Nasty singer, which is also other people.
I would say as well. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, nothing like Dave. He was amazing. And I didn't really even, I guess I knew, but it didn't bother me at all. It was kind of like, this is what they do. They have,
they've changed singers. Yeah, they changed singers like 4 times, right?
So when they got Chad Price, it was like, all right, cool. There's going to be more All.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I feel like the longer All went on, the more they just try to be like Descendants.
Well, it's just probably they're not trying. It's hard. It's all the same people writing. So it's like, what do you choose for Descendants?
When All first started, the first All record, it's so different than Descendants.
Yeah.
It's they started something new and it was bam. And then as they went on, how many, 12, 15 records or whatever, it just kind of came more like the Descendants to me, at least my perception of it.
Right. I hear you. It because it's pop punk style, like it's their style of pop punk, and All probably needs to be a little more progressive, prog, right? You know what that is?
A little more prog,
because I mean that's really, I mean, if you think of All, like songs like Breathe, It Only Hurts When I Breathe, it's like jazz chords, it's just so different from a punk song. Yeah, but it's
and
punk.
Like
that's what makes it punk.
Bubblegum and all that. She's my ex. All that stuff was way different than the
messed
punk
me
stuff.
up, honestly. All these songs like Tony All with the bass player Tony Lombardo writing all the songs and having All play it. That messed me up because those are such good songs, and they bounce around with styles. It made me think it was okay to just bounce around and write all these bubblegum songs and these weird, quirky, and then these hardcore songs. And of course, we still do sometimes. But I've gotten a little bit more of a cohesive theme over the years. But you do have to have some variety, I feel like.
I mean, unless you're the Ramones. Then you just...
They even have 6/8 doo-wop stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe that was like later years, At some point, you have to at least push somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Just write a better song. It could be a similar sound, but a better version of that song, which is very hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not that hard to do.
I think
I'm gonna say that songwriting is even that hard, but
well,
because it makes me sound like a jerk if I'm like, songwriting's so hard. You know what I mean? Like, building things is hard.
Yeah. Loading trucks is hard.
Yeah.
That's the thing about being whatever it is that you are. Like, you are what comes natural to you. Like, some people can't write a song, and some people can't, do whatever it is, but you've written a lot of songs. Some are even good. Some are even good.
Decent.
Some are even really good.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised. Let's Ride. It's like, there's every now and then there's a song I write where I'm like, okay, yeah, that was good. That was a good one. And then most of them I'm like, that's a good MXPX song. Yeah. And people that like us are gonna love this.
Yeah. You know your market. You know what's going on.
But I'm obviously really just trying to write from the heart, and I'm trying to write who I am and what I'm feeling. And sometimes that's not going to make the record, or this isn't going to, whatever. But maybe it's just because it's not what's going to hit in the time, because you don't want to hit people with things that are timed wrong. Like right now would be the wrong time to talk about like the COVID or 9/11 or something. You know what I mean? Like topics like that or whatever. But like, so in some ways, you would think about that with writing, but for me, I just write a ton of songs and then I pick out what I think people are gonna like hit, or what's gonna hit. So you kind
of look at it from somebody else's perspective. Like, I wrote the song, but now I want to see what other people are gonna think about.
Yeah,
it. Instead of like saying I want this song no matter what, and then you put it out and then nobody likes it.
Right.
And I think that you see people. I've seen a lot of artists that kind of get to that point where they are making stuff, and it's obviously they're just doing what they want to do, and they're not going to compromise anymore. Mm-hmm. And then it just doesn't hit with the fan base. Yeah. So you could choose that route, or you could choose the route that somebody's going to like it.
Yeah.
So the attachment to the song for you, if you write a song and you really like it, but if it doesn't track, then you don't put it on the record.
If it doesn't fit with the record.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't want to misconstrue myself and say that I'm thinking about what will sell or whatever. Yeah. I'm just thinking about what's gonna be on this record and is gonna actually strike any nerve. Yeah. I mean, because that's what you're trying to do as an artist. And if you don't do that, then why are you doing this?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the things that hit the most with people in music is when it's not about, like you're saying about this topic or timely topic. It's more about, like, you look at all the great punk rock songs, whether it's Circle Jerks or Black Flag or MXPX or Alkaline Trio. It's all about like these moments in a person's life, like these growth memories or these life-changing moments that everyone has and goes through, and they relate to that song. You know what I mean? Like all these songs, you have these songs that, like, your silly song that is goofy and just funny, but it's about this dude at a party or whatever, but everybody relates to that memory of in the time of high school. Those songs resonate forever, and you're stuck playing that song every show the rest of your life because it's the one that, you know, do you think it's the best song you ever wrote? No, but it's everybody want to hear it, and everybody wants to dance and sing along with it, and bop bop bop, you know, everybody wants it.
Right.
So, you know, and so arguably, is that a great song, or is it just it's
what's attached to it that makes it great or helps.
Exactly. Yeah. Is it really intelligent, great songwriting? Maybe not. Is it a great song? Definitely. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's sometimes people get too overthought in trying to make something great instead of just making something that's going to become great.
Yeah. I mean,
that makes sense.
When we put out Punk Rock Show, it was on our second album. I mean, it was just another song. It was like song, I don't know, 9 or something.
Perfect, silly fucking song.
Yeah. When Fletcher from Pennywise heard that song, he was working with the director, and it was Darren, and Darren just put on the Punk Rock Show video for him, and he was like, "This might be the best punk rock song I've ever heard." He was like, you know, and it was like, maybe it's not now that 30 years later or whatever it is, but like, you know, back in those days.
Oh, everyone wants to hear it.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to go to the punk rock show.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody goes to the MXPX show and they want to sing along to the punk rock show. It's a fucking perfect moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's the perfect, like I said, it's a perfect, silly song, you know? And you could think it's just simple, or you can get whatever, but it's.
And you can't recreate a song like that. You have to create a new moment for now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's.
You got to be that kid in 1990 or 1989 or whatever that was like wanting to go, you know.
Yeah. Because like the same attachment probably is going to be a lot harder to come by for that particular song. If a kid just stumbles across it, they might really like it.
Yeah.
And they're like, why do I like this so much or whatever? But it's not going to be the same attachment, like you're saying, like the lived experience of experiencing life in the 90s when that came out and going to the show or seeing us Warped Tour.
Our generation, there was something really special about going to the punk rock show because
that's where everything happened.
There wasn't
that's
that
where life
many
was going on.
There wasn't that many punk rock shows, and there wasn't that. It wasn't that widely advertised. So if you were there, you were in the know. It was special. You were there, and the people that were there with you, it was special, and you have that attachment. And now it's like, nowadays it's like, oh yeah, everybody, who cares? Everybody goes to punk rock show. Back then it was like, and and the people that love that song for the last 30 years remember that attachment.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's so fucking cool about it.
Yeah. Things are always going to change. So you just have to, you know, create new great moments in life. And that's what MXPX has kind of been there for different parts of people's lives. And it's a weird thing to be part of people's lives in that way where I'm detached, personally detached, but they're getting something that I get also from other artists, you know, when I listen to those songs that I grew up with. Right. Yeah. So it's probably one of the coolest things in life that it's sort of like, once you really think about the connections that we all have that aren't necessarily face-to-face connections, just somewhere psychically through music and through our experiences. It's wild.
Well, this last show that I saw y'all play, House of Blues in Dallas a couple months ago, it was a huge crowd.
Yeah.
I don't know if
sold out.
It was sold out.
Yeah.
So it was a huge crowd. It was awesome. Show was jamming, and y'all had like a scheduled meet and greet, you know, at the end of the show. And dude, it was insane. The line was long and everybody was clamoring, and they were like, if you weren't in the line for the meet and greet, it was like, you got to go. And I was like there, and I was like, I texted, I was like, I'm going to see you later. It was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
It was, I was like, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and that's part of why, we have those experiences with the fans, is because we do stuff like that. And it's more of a DIY thing, but there is a limit, obviously. Like, when we do big festivals, we don't usually do the meet and greets in the same way. It's just too many people at that point. But as long as we can do 2,000 and under venues, we can pretty much facilitate a free meet and greet for people.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to do it. I mean, these people came to see your show. Like,
Yeah.
give them everything you can.
Yeah.
Because you want them to.
We want them to come back.
I mean, yeah. Why wouldn't
But we want them to have a great time, and it's like when you have positive experiences associated with your band, it's going to be more than just a show. They're going to want to listen to the next album, and they're going to maybe buy a t-shirt if they come through and get an autograph. I mean, it's all part of the business, but it's not what most bands do.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work, and I wouldn't say it's worth it for the money. You know what I mean? Because it's just more than that.
Here's what I think. Well, first of all, there's a lot of people with their kids.
Yeah.
And these people had already met you before, and now they got their kid at the show, and they want their kid to get a photo with you, and they're sharing that experience. So they're reliving that. So that's amazing. But when you're young and you're in a punk rock band or whatever band, and you're out and you're touring, you're always at the merch table after the show. You're always trying to meet all the fans. You're always trying to, pump it up. And at some point, you get to the point where I'm not doing that anymore.
Right.
Which that's when you lose connection. And I think the fact that y'all still do that is a testament to your
It's kind of
integrity
crazy.
in it.
It's kind of crazy because MXPX did so. We've had a roller coaster of a career. It's not like we've been on the up our whole 32 years. There's been a few eras where it's been okay. We're not selling tickets.
Well, I remember
people aren't paying attention. Whatever.
There were some times when you were just opening for other bands, and just doing whatever you could do, and then they were doing solo gigs, and you're playing with Goldfinger, and you're doing whatever you can do to stay out and stay playing and stay having fun, and But
when I was with Goldfinger, I wasn't doing a ton. Like when I started with Goldfinger, it was 2013. So I've been with them over 10 years, crazy. But at the beginning, I was just still in that crazy mode where I would go out to the Goldfinger line with my acoustic and play. And I would do this with MXPX as well. I would just go out and play them a song and be like, thanks for coming out, say this or that. And just to freak people out because they're just not used to seeing that. So just doing weird things like that. Not that it's weird, but I would do that for the Goldfinger crowd. I would do that just, for whatever. And I did that for years, not every show, but just kind of when it made sense to do it. I think, the Goldfinger thing, I had a solo show in London at the end of the tour. And so I was telling everybody about that. It sold out. So something was working,
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just I had to hustle for I would say a good 4, 5, 6 years, Tumble Down into MXPX. And then, we just kept hitting it. And Tom and Yuri came back full time. And we started selling out everything we did.
Yeah.
And we just sold out the Palladium last year.
You love playing music.
Yeah.
What else are you going to fucking do, right?
I mean, I was on the snowboard team back in high school. I didn't go pro, so I've kind of figured let's focus on music.
Yeah.
And
but when I'm hanging out with you years ago at your house or in the bus or whatever, you always just grab a guitar and play. And play what song? Play this Tom Petty song. We'll all sing it together. You just love playing music. You know what I mean? And I think that resonates.
Yeah, man. I love it.
I mean, I see people on stage, and I've been on tour with tons of bands, and I see people that are just out there oh, can I get over with this set already? And then I see people that go out there and love it and kill it. And that energy translates to the crowd. And so that's great. I love that. You just mentioned Tom and Yuri coming back. So there was an era.
Kind of, yeah.
There was an era where Tom and Yuri got real jobs.
Yeah. I know, man.
Me and you are not the real job type guys.
No, man.
Yeah, they got real jobs, and I was like, "What are they doing?" And you're like, "Hey, man, they got real jobs." And so then
I'm gonna be in the gutter singing with this guitar before I get a real job. So Be my guest.
But man, I think, and then if I remember correctly, Tom came back first.
Yeah.
And then when Yuri came back, it was like, that was like a boost because it was like original lineup, everyone's back, boom, boom, boom. And y'all had some big shows and you went on a run. And it was like, I was at a show, I think it was at Canton Hall maybe or whatever.
Canton Hall, yep.
But literally like the crowd was like, Yuri, Yuri, Yuri. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the night Yuri got tattooed too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
So I was like, man, Yuri's got to be on top of the world right now because he had a real job like a year ago. And now he's like back and the whole crowd is screaming, Yuri, Yuri.
Yeah, he is a legend. His kids realize how legendary he is finally. It took them a while. They were like salty about it. Like, who's this guy? You know, like my dad, whatever. But like just after coming to shows, they're like, holy shit.
People are chanting.
Like the first show that my kids, I got 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and they're finally kind of old enough to travel. And I brought them out to When We Were Young Fest in Vegas a couple years, 2 years ago.
I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but keep going.
Oh, just that was their first time seeing MXPX, you know, because it was a daytime show. It was like, okay, they can come see us during the day.
And they're how old?
8. Well, at the time, 6 and 10 or 6 and 9.
And that's the first time they saw you play?
Yeah, they had never seen it. They had seen sound checks.
That's
never
crazy.
Seen a show. Yeah. So they saw their first.
You're like living a double life.
Their first punk show was I brought them to see the Descendants in Seattle.
There you go.
So that I was like, okay, now that they've seen the Descendants, then they can see everything else, no problem. But yeah, so they came out and saw us play this insanely huge stage, and they're just like, you know, they've seen videos before, but seeing it in person is
different.
Wild, I'm sure. I've never seen it, so I don't know, but never seen us.
Well, what I was gonna ask you a question about this When We Were Young Fest, because I heard about this thing. I saw that it was going down. I didn't go to it. I had some friends that went to it. I was looking at it, but we were talking about, I was like, the lineup is fucking insane.
Yeah.
And the amount of bands that were playing and the amount of the time window that they were playing in, it was almost, I was like, this is not real. I was like, this is not good. You can't see that many bands. Like, because obviously there's more stages. And so I'm like, so who's playing at the same time? Are you going to go see this or this when they're both, I'm like,
those festivals aren't meant for everyone to see everything.
I know,
it's
obviously fucking crazy.
Yeah, they're just trying to like grab every single fan of every band they can get to
go.
It
was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That lineup was, I hope it worked out great. And I hope the shows were great, and I hope everybody got paid. But it seemed like if I was there, I would be like, I would almost be like bummed out that I'm gonna have to not see this band or see this band or try to see 2 songs of this band and run over.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a catch-22 because a lot of times those festivals have sets by bands that don't normally tour, don't normally just do club shows or theater shows or whatever.
Yeah,
and so you got to see them at the festival, and then you might have your other couple favorite bands that do the shows, and you're bummed that you don't get to see the full set, but you should probably go see their full set at their show. I don't know, man. It's just everybody's got choice.
Wild.
It's infinite choice.
It seemed wild.
There's always something to complain about. And if you don't like festivals, do not go to that one. It seemed
insane. I mean, Riot Fest is insane enough.
I went out into the crowd. We were kind of like during Blink-182, I went out in the crowd with my family, and we were almost crushed. It was insane. It was so crowded. We were like, let's get out of here. We went back to the backstage, and then Green Day, we had like a VIP area, so it was fine. But it was just like, I don't know how people can do that.
It's insane.
There should be like festival suits that make you like bigger, so you can just like get a little extra space, like personal space.
Nuts. We went to Riot Fest when Jawbreaker played, and me and Audra were like pretty close to the front, and there was like minutes at a time where my feet did not touch the ground.
What happens when you have to pee?
You don't.
You just hold it.
You don't. Like, I was like in the crowd, crushed like this, feet not on the ground. for minutes, like just doing this, no feet on the ground. I just jumped up to above everybody's shoulders so I could see, and then stuck there. And your feet are just dangling. And
that's what Lollapalooza was like.
Everybody is just sweating all over you, and you're just soaked with everyone else's sweat. It's like, ah! It was amazing. What in the Duck podcast is proud to be sponsored by Legacy Ink, the finest in tattoo pigments. I've been using this ink exclusively for over 20 years myself. It has been recently rebranded and marketed, but it has been the same recipe for decades. Real, hand-mixed tattoo pigments that heal great and last. People always comment on the yellow that I use and the yellow tattooed on me, my favorite, the Mayan yellow. I have seen countless 20-plus-year-old tattoos with the colors still vivid. Don't duck around with all these newfangled companies with their watered-down baloney. Get the tried, true, and tested good shit. You can find them on Instagram at Legacy Pigments or email Ashley today to place an order at legacyartsupplies@gmail.com. Tell them Oliver sent you and receive a special discount. Don't just do tattoos. Be part of a legacy. But it's like
you got to experience it.
You can only, time. I mean, then after that, we're like, no more, what else you know?
Yeah.
But those things are crazy. I was also going to ask you about this, talking about your kids, not seeing you play and all this stuff. I have a lot of friends that have, I'm like, oh, their dad is somebody. And they think their dad's just some jackass.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, your dad is fucking cool. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
My kids are pretty cool. They like me.
Yeah.
So far. I mean, at this stage, they still hug me.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm not even saying they don't like him. They just don't think of their dad as somebody like that's cool or somebody that's hip or somebody like.
They don't probably think I'm cool. I'm still a little pop to them,
But I mean, so they're either gonna grow up and figure out that you're cool, or figure out that you're famous, or whatever it is, or they're gonna like not like it, or they're gonna like it, or they're gonna embrace it, or they're not gonna. Who knows what's gonna happen? But like like Mike Ness's kids like have grown up to like start to emulate Mike Ness. But there was a time when they're like, whatever, social distortion, who cares? And now they're like, oh man, my dad's fucking know.
Well, my son's the youngest, and he started to play drums, but really the musical talent so far, we'll see, but is my daughter, Sailor. So she plays guitar, plays piano, and she takes lessons and plays a little drums.
Well, 12-year-old enough to kind of like really start to do things.
Yeah. We did a linoleum cover where I played acoustic and she sang. That was my daughter. Yeah. So.
But you did it at a show.
Yeah, we did it at a show, and we like released it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it at a show, but did you do it like, I think the video I saw was at a show.
Yeah, we did it in Bremerton. It was our hometown.
Yeah.
And so that was their second time seeing us play was, we did 2 nights in our hometown, Bremerton, last summer.
Yeah.
It's great.
Very
Sold
exciting.
Out. Yeah.
Sold out.
Of course. I mean, come on. Not of course, but Bremerton, it's our hometown.
Yeah,
it's gonna be.
What's the other popular, what else came from Bremerton? Which else claim to fame?
Quincy Jones.
Oh, really?
He wasn't from Bremerton,
yeah.
But Bremerton really likes to claim him because he was there for like, I don't know, 4 years or something like during a period. But aside that, in the area,
punk rock world, MXPX put Bremerton on the map.
I think in the punk rock world,
yeah, for sure.
There was, I
never heard of Bremerton before.
Yeah. I can't think of. There was the Sonics, but they were more from like Bainbridge Island.
I love
and they were
Sonics.
Way before us. It was more of
70s.
Yeah, they were like 60s even.
Yeah, late 60s, early 70s. They were big in the 70s though. They were big in the early 70s.
Yeah, Louie style rock and roll.
Yeah,
and people kind of considered them punkish. Nowadays, they consider them punkish. It's funny. Weird story, weird connection. Our booking agent / manager now used to book the Sonics.
Damn, I love the Sonics. Yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, pretty wild. But yeah, I can't really think of
because there's a lot of bands from Seattle.
I would say,
and a lot of bands claim Seattle.
Yeah, I would say Tony Reed He's got a couple bands that have done well in Europe. They haven't, they haven't really broken out here, but he plays metal and
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's a local guy. More Port Orchard though,
Port Orchard.
Anybody that knows Kitsap County is loving this conversation.
Well, there was a couple of summers that I spent some time in Bremerton, man.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful place. And I was, we used to joke about my summer home, go to there.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful in the summertime.
The boat ride.
Oh, man. The Puget Sound, is that what it is? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
The sound.
Yeah.
Technically, the sound is the word describing an area between the ocean and in the inlet or whatever. That's what that is.
You're telling me. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, there's an area of water called the Sound, the Puget Sound.
Yes, of course.
And then there's the ocean, and then there's the lake or whatever. But the Sound is the
Sound is
in the inlet in between.
The inlet.
And we were on Mike had this crazy. Basically, it's a jet ski wave runner, but
a big one,
a wider one with multiple seats. So it's like a mini boat, and we took this mini boat across from Bremerton to Seattle, and a submarine was coming in and out from the base, and the submarine was just barely underwater, so it was creating this really cool crest wave, and we were following it, and all of a sudden the Coast Guard came up and get away from the submarine.
I remember that. Like,
pretty cool. But I mean, for a minute we were like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, because they
were serious.
Yeah.
We were just like, fuck it.
Woo! That was an intense trip though. Just wow.
Oh yeah. So he's like, we could take the boat over to Seattle, and it's like an hour across this, very.
I had never done it before, by the way. This is my first time going that far.
It was very, what's the word? Not smooth.
Not smooth at all. Yeah. It was turbulent.
Very turbulent.
Yeah.
It was like, and literally when we got back, my kidneys were sore from just bouncing and holding. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. It was great. So did you ever do it again?
One other time, I think. It's at a slower pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still own a boat?
No, sold it. Too many problems with that boat, man.
But you never got a bigger boat.
No. That cured me of my boat addiction.
Boat was smaller than the size of this booth, I think. Or
I mean,
about the
it was
same
a
size.
16-footer.
I don't know.
16-footer. Yeah, it was a 16-foot dinghy, basically.
Not this one, but not as.
It was a Sea-Doo.
Yeah.
Jet ski.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing?
Multiple seater. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting on like a jet ski, sat in it like a boat.
It was great. I mean, it was great for it opened my eyes to a whole new world. Seeing your town from the water is so different.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Bremerton and never, we've been on the ferry and you're on this giant boat that goes one direction, Yeah,
because you can either drive around, which is real far.
Yeah.
Or you can take the ferry straight across, which is
14 miles, I think.
But how long does it take? 30 minutes?
No, it takes 50 minutes if you're on the car ferry, but it takes 30 minutes on the passenger only, the quick one.
But then how long does it take to drive around?
Oh, an hour 10.
Yeah, so you save some time taking the ferry across.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, every time I went to Bremerton, I'd fly into Seattle, cab down to the ferry, hop on the ferry, jam over to Bremerton.
Did you like the ferry rides, or was it annoying?
I mean, it was very nice.
Yeah.
You could see everything. It's cool looking back at Seattle from the ferry and seeing the islands around and all that cool shit.
As a tourist, it's got to be the best. Just because I'm from there and I enjoy it at times.
Yeah.
Not always, but usually.
But I'd never been, before I went to Bremerton, I'd never been to a place like that.
What do you mean?
It's just different.
Seems
it's just
separated, or
it seems like what you see in the movies. You know what I mean? like it's just a town that's a lot of hills, a lot of up and down, a lot of it's very different than Texas.
Yeah. There's little hills everywhere, and
a lot of small windy roads that go up and down everywhere, and every it was just totally different. It's way different than Seattle.
The bugs are different. I mean, everything's different about it. Yes, and that's the thing is we grew up we grew up, you know, from afar, looking at Seattle from afar, and now and again bands would come over. We saw the Gits in Bremerton, which they weren't really a national act, but they were doing really well in Seattle until the singer got murdered. But we were loving that band. We were loving the Hester Prynne or Prynne, I don't know how you pronounce it. Hester Prynne. Another band that never really made it nationally, but like in our area, they were like doing big shows. And so when they came to Bremerton, it was big. And we're just like, I guess they're big, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to gauge who's big and who isn't,
Especially
based on a local show. Yeah, because everything's going to be big because there's no other shows, you know? It's like kids back then, especially with all ages versus bars. Every show we did was at an all ages hall. It wasn't at a club or a place that was actually an establishment.
Well, how long were y'all a band before you did the first place y'all went was y'all go play Seattle at some point early in the career? Or?
We did. We played probably 2 years later or 1 year later. We played a party in Seattle.
I mean, I would assume that would be your first big city to play at.
Yeah.
After you
Seattle,
play around Bremerton.
Portland. We played, the first bar we played in was in Portland, the Satyricon, and we were kids, so we couldn't sit in the bar. We had to like sit in this back area or outside.
Come in
until
play
we
the
played.
show,
Yeah.
and then get out.
And they made us go on after 2:00
a.m. Party
2 a.m. So we're literally there all night long, and then it's like, why? Yeah. So people did stay around, but it was just, you know. So that was our first time in Portland, and then we played Vancouver, BC, up north. There was this like, I don't know, big kind of similar places to what we were doing in Seattle. So I'm sure that the connection was Seattle people hooked us up with Vancouver. It's hard to even remember how things happened then because we didn't have any of the normal things you would have now, like a manager, booking agent, anything, you know. So
I did by the time I met you guys was 2005 on Warped Tour, and y'all were like on a big bus, and y'all were big time, and y'all were one of the main bands, and y'all were
yeah.
I mean, y'all were killing it. But y'all had already been a band for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, you know, going through the eras, it's hard to.
I mean, I know I've heard stories, but you did like cross country trips and in the van and just doing the deal like that forever.
Oh, right. Yeah. We didn't just end up in a bus.
Yeah,
we did cross country touring for, I would say, let's see, our first bus was 97. So, really those first 3-4 years of touring, except for the one time we got the bus in 97, we were opening for No Doubt, and it was just like, all right, the record label's going to pay for it. So
yeah.
Okay. You know, so we're like, all right.
And that was when No Doubt was like,
yeah, that was their Tragic Kingdom tour.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, it was big.
How did the No Doubt fans, like, did they care?
I don't remember. I mean,
was it one of those?
I felt like we were just always the underdogs.
Yeah.
Always just, you're there, but you're only there because we need an opener.
Yeah.
It's not like No Doubt treated us bad. They treated us really well, like the actual band people. The crew treated us well, except for the tour manager was a little salty, but I think that's how English people are.
Yeah.
Not all. But, you know, having those experiences was like, okay, this is how we should just remember this when we have bands open for us and make sure we try to treat them well.
Well, I'm thinking like at that time, No Doubt being what No Doubt was, like the No Doubt fans are so fucking No Doubt crazy.
Yeah.
They probably didn't give a shit about who opened.
They probably didn't care. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you see those shows now that like there's some certain shows that like, I would say like you go to a Lucero show, Lucero fans are very interested in who's opening because they like want to know what is a part of the deal. So they always like, oh, they got, you know.
There's a reason why they're opening.
Yeah, and it's cool. But then then you go to another level of entertainment where people are just like so crazy about this one thing that they don't care. Like I've been at shows where they're just like just yelling during the opening act for the main act to come on. You're like, come on, and they're chanting the name of the main artist, and it's like, man,
damn.
It's hard to be that.
That's rough. Yeah.
So you didn't get that.
We didn't get that. No. Nothing bad like that. I was just thinking like we had of the giant stage, We had about 3 feet at the very front. And like, it's just like, what? Okay, no problem. But
because they had their shit all set up already with a drape
and
off.
then the next band, the Selector, was in front of that. And then we're in front of Selector. So it's just a real quick, we're just here to do a couple songs, hopefully sell a couple records, maybe make a couple fans.
Yeah.
And we, honestly, you always do, because we went out to merch after the, our set. There's so much free time when you do a show, like a corporate type tour, where you're opening. You get done pretty early, and you're just like, got nothing to do. You wonder why rock stars have drinking problems and drug problems
and tattoos.
So much downtime. Yeah. So a lot of those tours back in those days, and another good reason to headline, if you have fans, don't put your fans through and give them a full show. But back in those days, we're definitely growing, and we're building our fan base still in 97 for sure. So we had to open as much as we could. And, at some point it stops working though, right? At some point you stop sort of like gaining momentum. I mean, we still gain momentum, of course, every record, but you have to do something different to gain that momentum. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you win. Because no doubt it's gone and you're still here.
Yeah, they just came back, didn't they?
I don't know.
I just saw Adrian a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And he seemed like he's doing well. Probably just gets paychecks every month.
It's
awesome.
But there's not a lot of bands stay a band for 3 years. And I think that's
it's almost like if you get too big, it's like a Super Bowl win. Those teams don't stay together. World Series win, whatever sport. If you're at the pinnacle, if you get really big, it's really hard to stay together. The Beatles, I mean, they had their issues. Amazing, but
I mean, the Stones did it. They're still doing it.
True. Stones are
Social Distortion. I mean, Social Distortion had some member change.
Yeah, but they've been pretty steady and kind of a long haul, a perennial kind of band, I would say.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think honestly, that's where MXPX is probably going to end up in that perennial type Social Distortion avenue of punk rock, where we just have a great fan base. We're not the biggest band. We can headline festivals. We can do this and that. But we can also, go to the House of Blues or go to the Palladium in LA or whatever. So I love doing House of Blues. So like sometimes we'll just do 2 nights instead of 1, and that's what Social D does.
It's better than one. I would rather see a smaller show,
right,
than the bigger show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, probably timeline, I don't know, but years ago, Social Distortion played a bigger venue in Dallas, and it was not as good.
Yeah, there's just something about it sometimes. Good. Yeah,
and then the next, couple years later, they come through.
What size you think? Bronco Bowl size, like 3,000?
No, bigger than Bronco Bowl, but it was at the. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it was called then, but now it's called the Texas Trust Arena. It was like it's out by the horse track. It's like it's just a venue.
A small hockey arena kind of size.
I mean, we just saw Cat Williams there last month.
So probably like 6 to 10,000.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And then
they can scale those things down.
Yeah, they have curtains that section it off or whatever. But just the setup and the way the show is, it wasn't as good. And then the next whatever tour they came through town, they played 2 nights in a row at House of Blues.
Yeah,
and that show's way better.
I mean, I saw Joan Jett in a club like that, like a House of Blues style size club in Canada, in Toronto, and it was just like the best show ever.
It's way better.
You're not seeing a big giant, arena show.
Well, when you're in an arena show, even if it's loud, it's not the same.
Yeah.
When the ceiling is 100 feet, 200 feet, and the room is 100 yards wide, you're just not in it.
Are there any acts that sound better in a style like that? Like maybe a hip hop act or
I don't know. I mean,
like Guns N' Roses?
Probably
not, right? Like,
when I saw the Rolling Stones at a big stadium,
it
worked.
Was
amazing because it was Rolling Stones, but they have this show.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the things. They have the huge video screens, have the pyrotechnics, have all the stuff. But I would pay anything to see Rolling Stones at House of Blues. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like how much?
So much better.
Like we got a really good deal in 2015. Me and Dean saw Rolling Stones, and we paid $500 for our tickets, and we were in like 13th row. It was really good. We got a buddy who hooked us up.
Yeah, that's nothing.
The people sitting next to us paid $3,000 for their tickets. I would pay $20,000 to see the Rolling Stones at Trees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at House of Blues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it would be incredible. I mean, House of Blues, a show, something like that, but they just, I don't know.
They would have to charge so much money per ticket to make it worth what their normal.
So we went through this a couple of years ago. We were talking about this whole same conversation about how great it is to see shows this size. Like when Social Distortion played at Trees, it was like the best. And now they're too big to play Trees, and that's sad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how much would you pay? Like, you're going to pay $40 to see Social Distortion at this huge place or House of Blues or whatever, or $30 or whatever you're going to pay. How much you'd pay to see the Trees? And everybody's like, I'd pay $200-$300. And I'm like, well, then let's do it. Let's get 1,000 people that'll pay $300 a piece. There you go. You're set. And I think it would work. And I think that would be a great model for people that are willing to pay more money. People are paying a lot of money to see concerts. You know what I mean? You're not going to get 100,000 people to pay that much money. Right. But you're definitely going to get 1,000 people. So I was like, what would I want to see? If I could see anything in the world, I was like, I want to see Bob Seger. So we were trying to see how much it costs to have Bob Seger play, and how many people fit in Trees, and how much it would cost to have Bob Seger play at Trees. And I was like talking to the guy at Trees, like, what could we do to make this happen? He's like, well, it's this much, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't.
How much?
We didn't make it happen. I think Bob Seger was $1 million.
Yeah.
I think you could get him to play for $1 million. And I was like,
there's no way he's worth $1 million.
Well, if he's on tour, it's less.
But that's what I'm saying. But if you're paying for him to get to walk out the door.
If you have a one-off show where you have to bring the production and you have to deal all the shit, you know how it is. It's more expensive.
Sure.
If you're on tour, you play for $20 grand a night, or 10 grand a night, or 5 grand a night, or 100, whatever it is. But you're already in that town and you need to get to the next town, so you're going to play, The
Stevie Wonder price, we call it. Or I call it.
So Bob Seger, however much it was, I was like, dude, you could get people to play. People would fly from all over the world to pay $5,000 a piece to see to see Bob Seger inside Trees. And I wish we would have made it happen. It would have been incredible. I think that he's not playing anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, it's not that he could sell enough tickets for 1 million, or else he would definitely do it. And just about every artist I know probably would. But it's the walk out the door fee. It's like, you literally have to pay me probably double what I normally would get, because I'm sitting here.
He's probably making a lot of money sitting at home.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the things, all the fingers coming in. So yeah, I back it. Kenny Rogers Roasters, there was a story about him, getting paid $1 million to play a birthday party, but they only wanted The Gambler.
One song?
And over and over for an hour. And at the very end, he was like, I can't take it anymore. Fuck this. And left and didn't get paid his $1 million because he wouldn't do it again.
Wow. I mean,
that probably is not the correct ending of the story, but it's the correct ending of the story.
But what really happened? But yeah, somebody has a lot of money and they want, I've heard a lot of stories about bands getting these private party gigs, and where
I've done
like,
private parties.
Hey, we'll pay you a bunch of money to come play a set for the small amount of people or whatever. That's got to be a tough gig to do. I mean,
it's different.
With
it's
you,
so different.
If you're solo, you can play a house party and it could be 10 people or 100 people, and it's gonna be.
You've seen it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You're gonna make it fun.
Yeah.
But it would be hard. I would think it's hard to have a full band and play a full rock show with all the energy with like a few people in the crowd.
It is weird. We've done it for like a radio winner somewhere on tour. We were on tour and literally the bus pulled up to this guy's house. He won a live performance by MXPX, and we set up a PA and everything in his yard and played a set. And it was weird.
Yeah.
But it was just like, we're not doing our normal show. We're doing this for this dude.
Yeah. It reminds me, we had this plan years ago. You remember this? House Party Tour USA?
Yeah. Which plan? We had a lot of plans.
We were gonna make a tour where we just played house parties.
Yeah.
And I was gonna tattoo, and you were gonna play a show, and for X amount of dollars, you could have us show up at your house and throw a party. We'd have barbecue and cornhole, and you'd play a show, and I would do tattoos, and it was like,
yeah,
we should bring that idea back.
That would be fun. Another idea we had we never did was we both go to a different city in the U.S. with nothing. No cell phone.
This was a guy idea.
Yeah.
This was the TV show.
This was the TV show idea, and then you'd have like a one guy follow you, or I guess you just have somebody follow you with a camera, and then you just basically have to build your life back.
It was
up.
Basically our version
favors.
our version of Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
Before there was Naked and Afraid, except we weren't going to be naked. You had to get dropped off on an unknown location in an unknown city with nothing. And you had to see how far you could get in whatever predetermined amount of time we said, like 60 or 90 days or some shit, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And then you were going to be like, can you get an apartment? Can you get a job? Can you get some new clothes? Can you get a car? Can you get a girlfriend? Can you get whatever you can get in this time? Like, you're just starting off with nothing. I don't think anybody's done anything like that. Have they?
Not exactly. I did see somebody, like, more of like, one of those influencers that just does videos or travel videos. Somebody was like doing something similar to that, but
I remember
that was very recently. So we definitely had the idea.
I remember there was this guy who's like one of those like teach you how to be a millionaire guys that had some infomercial thing. He was like, you could drop me off on a street corner tomorrow and I'll be rich. And
maybe that's what I saw
in 60 or 90 days.
I was like, that's our thing.
He can be rich. He can get it back.
Yeah.
He can go to work and figure something new. But the whole trick was you can't be like, hey, I'm in a band, I'm going to play guitar.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm going to do tattoos. You had to do something.
Something not what you can do. Man.
You have to just get a job.
That would be rough. I'd be like, do I go mental or do I go physical labor?
I mean, you definitely have to steal at least a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, you're allowed to break laws. You can,
well, I mean, you can't. You're going to starve.
Can you go to jail?
You're going to
like
starve?
That's part of, like, I went to jail, but I learned, I got a college degree in jail. And I came out.
No, I'm just saying,
a lawyer.
You're going to have to starve.
Yeah.
If you're homeless and you have nothing, you're going to have to do. I mean, maybe one day you can get enough money to buy a meal. Maybe one day you can't.
Is there ever anybody like dropping off like a care package? Like, okay, you've earned a drop. Like, that's how it would be if it was like done now. They, like, reality shows today always have like some like drop, supply drop.
A machete.
Yeah. It's like, what am I going to do with this machete in the city? Like, you're under arrest. Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know what would happen. Probably end up in jail.
Well, these days you'd end up in jail. I mean, you can't do it. Yeah. Or what are you doing? Loitering? Yeah.
We'd have to figure out. You'd have to figure out what the ground rules are. Can you break the law? Can you sell drugs?
Yes. Can you sell drugs? First question. Can you sell drugs?
As long as you don't get caught, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
If it was like a Vice thing, remember Vice?
Oh, when Vice was good.
When Vice was good. That would be a show on Vice.
I think that the next show is going to be about when Vice was good. That's the next thing Vice should do. Vice should do a comeback.
Did they just get bought by like
remember
like
when
Black
Vice
Rock
was good?
Or something?
Yeah, something's going to happen where the parent company that bought them goes bankrupt, and then some new person buys the rights to it again, and then they'll go back to being good again. Who knows?
Ain't gonna happen.
So you're writing new songs.
Write new songs, yeah.
Are you currently planning a new MXPX record?
There will be a new MXPX record. There'll probably be some singles that'll drop, not from the record. Most people drop singles before from the record,
and then they're on the record anyway.
Yeah, and then they're on the record. We usually just drop a song in the meantime because I feel like we take too long.
But then that song's not on the record.
Not on the record.
That's only solo existing single thing.
So yeah, we're gonna drop something probably soon.
But is that thing only available streaming?
Streaming, it depends on.
Or do you
sometimes
make a new 7 inches?
We'll probably make a new 7-inch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think we're gonna make a new one soon.
I do notice, I've been saying this, a lot of shows I go to, a lot of people have vinyl again.
It's easier to get vinyl now than it was 3 years ago.
Why is that?
Yeah.
What happened? The manufacturing
the
system?
demand went down. Taylor Swift is not on a new record cycle. Seriously?
I don't think she'll ever be on a new record cycle.
I'm just saying,
again.
like 3 years ago, she had literally all the U.S. plants, a lot of the main plants were all like stacked up with her catalog and other big catalogs, and it was just like people had to wait. So we had to wait like
another thing to blame her for.
I mean, whatever. It's probably not her fault.
Oh, I blame her personally.
I'm sure it was some executive somewhere going, all right, how do we make our numbers go up on our sound scan? Oh, let's print more specialty vinyl so that one fan will buy 5 of the same album. So it's just, numbers, but
yeah.
I
mean, she sucks, but I
mean, if you get too big, it's almost like you start to suck.
She sucked from the start.
And I'm not going to say every band that's big sucks, because I like tons of big bands. But what I mean is like some, that rock star thing that like I'm eating catering every day and I no longer have to try.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing that I feel like at times has almost taken me down. But I've, experiences like with Tumble Down and Tom and Yuri, I've had to really hustle on some shit. So I always remember those days, even now, and don't take for granted, anything really. There's even when we sell out shows and stuff, that's not just happening by like throwing out the tickets. Like we really try to like get the word out and let people know about the shows and beat people over the head with the dead horse. But it's been paying off, and then I get to do what I want to do, which is put out new music and write songs, put out new music, play those songs. I mean, I love playing the oldies and the goodies as well.
So any of the new songs you're writing lately, have you done any country-ish type stuff?
Anytime I come up with a country type thing, I mark it TD ?
And then
I put it in a folder.
Shelf it somewhere?
Yeah, so I got a couple things there. Yeah. There could be, a lot of the stuff I write could get countrified.
Yeah.
If it was like, okay, let's do this way, but that's just a stylistic thing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you get time in the coming years, do you think you would do more small solo shows? I'm
sure I will eventually. Yeah.
I mean, I hope you do.
Yeah.
Because I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you do. Do you think that any of that crossover, you think Tom and Yuri fit into that anywhere? Or do you think
the solo stuff, the acoustic stuff?
Into going that country-ish route?
That's interesting.
Like if you said, "Hey, I got this song. Let's record this."
I don't think so.
Let's record this song. Like Yuri do a train beat, fucking.
Yuri can do a train beat.
Yeah, I know he can, but I'm saying get him to do it and do the stuff and.
Right.
It might be interesting to see.
I don't think Tom likes country. Like generally, he's more of like. If I'm Beatles, he's Rolling Stones kind of vibe. Like I'm a pop guy. I like songs from all genres because it's a good song.
Yeah.
And he likes riffs and he likes badass production and effects and I'm sure he likes songs too. He does, but I don't think he likes country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put it out on a limb. No, but
Maybe
if I do it, I'll just do it with somebody else.
Yeah. Do you still have? I know you have different guitar players joining you with MXPX here and there.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah, but is he full time?
Chris Atkins is for our full time.
Okay.
Yeah, guitar player. Yeah. He joined on this record. This is his first record, and he's great. We did a tour without him actually, just as a 3-piece in Indonesia. It was great.
Man,
so we can do whatever
how
we
was
need
the
to do.
Indonesia tour?
Oh wow, it is intense.
Yeah. It's an amazing place.
It's just the travel was
insane.
A lot. No sleep, hard to.
How many
but
shows?
The shows
How many
awesome.
shows?
We did 3 shows.
Okay, because it's not a huge area.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have played 5 shows maybe, but we played 3, and we went to a place that we hadn't been before, so it was cool. It was
What
great.
I've heard about those markets like Australia and Bali and Indonesia and New Zealand is that like a lot of bands don't make the trek. So the bands that do make the trek over there do well.
Yeah,
because there's not as many shows.
Yeah, there's a lot of probably local
music,
shows, but
when you have like bands come from the Western world to there, it's like people are going to go to it. So, I mean, we
like
everyone goes to Japan, everyone goes to Europe, everyone goes to but not everybody makes that trek. Bali's far, dude. Bali's fucking far.
Yeah,
and you're gonna go all the way there to play 3 shows. You got to be determined to do that.
Yeah, we have invested some time into Indonesia just because they are amazing fans. It's huge there. It's those people are those people. I said those people. Those people are great. It's different too because
it's a beautiful culture. It's beautiful people. Everyone is like the friendliest fucking place on earth.
Yeah, they're
dude.
great.
It's like
great people. They love punk rock too. So
they love everything.
Yeah, maybe
they love
that's what
art.
it is.
They love art. They love they love every fucking thing. They love tattooing. They love anything. I mean, I've been there a few times. It's just fucking incredible. And it's it's like these island people. They're just
it's great.
Happy as fuck over there.
We love it. So yeah, I mean we go there now and again but you can't really plan for Indonesia because plans will fall through. So we usually just when it comes, we'll be like, all right, we'll do it. As long as we know we're gonna get paid and this but it's always like a month out. Like, which is crazy for this business because a lot of these bands book like a tour half a year out or more or whatever. So yeah, it's wild. It's definitely third world in that way where things work in a different way business wise than they work here in the US. But yeah, we love it. It's cool. Australia's cool too. I mean, we're trying to get
there
back
quite a few times.
A ton of times. So we're trying to get back, but we were gonna go back, and then this tour got canceled. Screeching Weasel canceled, and so we're just like, well, we're not gonna go. We would have gone without him, but the promoter didn't want to do it. So we're like, all right, well, next time I guess we're just gonna have to do it ourselves. Like, so we literally are gonna probably promote our own tour.
How many shows can you get over there?
Probably like 6. I'm sure we could get more, but really
2 weeks.
We're only gonna do more like 3 or 4.
See, like 2 weeks.
All the major cities: Melbourne, Adelaide, Sydney, and then Perth. I would say, and Brisbane. Those are all the main ones, and then I don't think it's worth it for us to go to the little ones. We've done all that small town touring in the past, and that's a different circuit, And bands, like it's the same as like touring the U.S. and hitting every city in Ohio, and like bands we've done that, and we don't really. It's not going to be worth it for us to do that nowadays. Eventually, we might actually do it, maybe our next album or something. But we'll do a tour, but it'll still be major cities. It'll just be a lot more than the weekends that we've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, so this last couple of tours you've been on, are you having like days off between shows, or is it mostly every?
No, we're just doing we're doing the weekends.
So
we'll do a weekend, and then the next month we'll do a weekend or whatever it is if we're on that schedule. So
flying in, flying out.
Fly in, fly out. Sometimes drive to the next city.
The cush job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
Flying to one city, drive to the next, and fly out from the next.
Yeah, or fly to the next. That's the worst. I don't like to do that. Flying the day of a show is kind of a nightmare because you have to fly really early.
And all you're just flying with just your guitar and everything else.
We have a bunch of gear.
Everything else is on that you're flying with?
Yeah. We have like 12 pieces maybe of gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lug too.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a crew and
but you're using amps that are.
Yeah, we have we bring our amps and we get cabinets at every show. Yeah. So we rent backline and all the big stuff. That all comes in like lighting. You have to rent lighting and bring that in, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the alternative is if you're on a bus going city to city, then you've got to play the unpopular nights. You got to play the Wednesdays and the Thursdays and you know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot of cities. It ends up being tough.
Yeah. We're
tough to sell out a Tuesday night.
Yeah. We're kind of doing the Nashville model, which is weekends.
Yeah.
We come in and out, and it just makes sense for our fans, and they don't want to see a show on a Tuesday night usually. You know, if it happens, we'll do it.
It's fucking hard.
But yeah, you'd rather go on a Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah. I mean, we do, Bike Riders Tour. You did it before.
Yeah.
But yeah, on Bike Riders Tour, you're playing Tuesday night, and it's like,
it looks like a Tuesday
thanks
night.
for coming out on Tuesday night. All 87 people, you know what I mean? It's like, but then whatever night you can land on the weekend, you try to, it's hard to route these tours.
Absolutely.
To zigzag around, because there's this market you need to hit on a Friday or Saturday night,
Mm-hmm.
And then where can we play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night? You got to find some place that'll have a show on a Wednesday night, or find a place that'll not be totally dead on a Tuesday night, and then sometimes you end up playing a bigger city on a kind of hard. Sometimes it's better to play a bigger city on Wednesday night, because then at least somebody will be there. You play a bad place on a Tuesday night, nobody's fucking there.
Right.
But yeah, if every night could be Friday, Saturday night, that'd be great. But you can't do that on some tours.
Yeah.
Can't do that on the motorcycle.
See, that's the thing. It's like, we just, MXPX at this point, we try to hedge our bets as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's go where the people are on the nights that the people want to go out. And when we do a full tour,
and
who
then,
knows what's going to happen? I mean, we're going to...
Dude, the cost of flying in is probably less than the cost of the bus every day.
Probably,
The bus is expensive.
Yeah.
And I think the bus has gotten exponentially more expensive every year, like crazy.
They keep going up.
I mean, I don't know what the bus price is nowadays. I remember being a couple $1,000s a day a long time ago.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it is nowadays either, but it's got to be a lot.
Driver room, bus, gas, all that.
You can't just put them in the bunk back there.
Dude,
got to get them a hotel room.
Warped Tour days, I remember just thinking about what a detriment to the earth that tour was, with hundreds of tour buses. I remember they talked about one year, like having some green initiative on Warped Tour, and I was like, oh yeah, 100 semi trucks idling for all day, 24 hours a day, idling in a parking lot in Oklahoma, because they were all those diesel generators running all day long, so the bands could sit on the bus in AC and play video games.
It wasn't even hot in Oklahoma until we got there. Yeah.
Oh, there were some fucking hot days.
Yeah. Rough.
Oh my God. So that's backtrack to that.
Because of Warped Tour, I can wear pants always. I'm never too hot.
Oh yeah. People ask me, they're like, I wear long sleeves all day, every single day through the summer. And people are like, I'm like, oh no, don't worry about it. Like, I can handle it.
Yeah.
Can handle the heat. So just to throw this out there, just to backtrack on, we met 2005 Warped Tour. I went out and was tattooing out of Matchbook Romance tour bus, and met you guys. I think you got tattooed, and then their tour was over, and they were leaving the tour, and I was just gonna leave, and then you guys were like, well, you can tattoo on our bus for a couple of days or whatever. So I ended up staying and hanging out with you guys, and then then the next few years we just traveled the country together. It was great.
Yeah, those are good times, man. Yeah, that was wild. Like,
you guys really helped me, like, get really solid in tattooing people in the music industry. For those few years, that was the first years because before that I was traveling doing tattoo conventions, and then that next decade I just spent traveling with bands and music and tattooing people, and it's like, you kind of like opened that door. I mean, you and a handful of other people on that tour that year opened the door for me to like get in and start tattooing a lot of people and a lot of bands, and opened up the door for me to go on tour with this band and that band and this band. And I went on a tour with you, with just MXPX tour, and then I think we played.
You did my back.
I think we played with Alkaline Trio at one point, and then I went on tour with Alkaline Trio, and then it went, it just kind of like spread, and it was just like, Super cool. So I thank you to that.
Yeah, cheers. I remember we went to Niagara Falls.
Oh, we
Yeah.
did. Hey, I told the
That was
story.
awesome.
I told the story on a previous podcast about crashing the car with
in Dallas?
yeah, with you and Tom and Yuri in
Yeah.
the car, and we were late to the show,
That was insane.
and Tommy Rat was furious, and we pulled up to the back lot at that venue.
Nokia Theater.
That venue was the venue I was talking about.
Oh, really?
That Social
Grand
Distortion
Prairie.
played.
Grand
Yeah,
Prairie.
it's now called something else.
Okay.
It used to be the Nokia, but we pulled up to the back lot, and everybody had like a bunch of little tiny cuts from shattered glass.
Yeah.
And your face, you had like little cuts where you were bleeding just a little bit, and you come up, and Tommy's like, "You're fucking bleeding," and you're like, "I'm going on stage," and you like went on stage and like wiped your head with blood on it.
Hell yeah.
And y'all were opening for, I think that was for the Deftones.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know.
That was
Offspring?
Maybe. It was insane though.
I don't know.
It was insane.
Yeah, that's fun. That was great.
We survived.
We saw our lives flash before our eyes.
Almost
and then,
killed the whole band.
We're fine. We got away with it. Didn't kill that pedestrian either. I was like, this guy is out of his mind, but he's pretty cool.
We killed that Jeep Cherokee though. My Jeep Cherokee.
Oh yeah. Let's just go switch cars.
We had to switch cars. That car wasn't gonna make it.
Oh no.
It barely made it home. Insane. Oh my God.
Good times. Yeah, we've had a lot of crazy adventures for sure.
Well, now, I mean, you got some other crazy adventures we need to touch on before we get out of here. Now you have a house in Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
And so you are kind of a Texan.
Yeah. I mean,
Your
always
wife
loved Texas.
your wife is a Texan.
Yeah.
She's from
Fort Worth.
She's from this area, from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but y'all have a place in Waco. And the way this happened, tell me how you ended up with this house in Waco.
So my wife was watching this home renovation show, and I'd come in from the studio or whatever, and she'd be watching it and be like, "Oh, I watch a little with her. It's kind of fun. This Chip guy is kind of funny." And then one day I came in and she was watching it. It's called Fixer Upper. She's like, I signed us up for Fixer Upper. So if we get on, we got to buy a house in Texas. And I'm like, all right, no problem.
No problem.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm in.
Like, I'm not really paying attention. This isn't real. And nothing happened like I thought. Nothing happened. We're in Houston for the holidays. And because her sister was living there at the time. So we're in Houston for Thanksgiving and flying home back to Seattle. And we had taken a picture in Texas with a sign with the kids like, hey, pick us. We're ready to move these babies to Texas. It was all my wife. And I tweeted that out to Chip and Joanna from the show Fixer Upper. And Chip saw it. He replied, I don't know how we could say no to those, kids or whatever he said. And I saw it while I was at the airport. We were like heading to Seattle. And so basically that was like the beginning of people calling us, doing like little interviews to make sure we weren't crazy. And sure enough, they put us on the show. Somebody had, they didn't pick from the list. So like that list thing wasn't a thing. Somebody was already on the show and they canceled last minute. So
they needed a replacement.
They needed to replace
them.
And
you tweeted.
And I tweeted just at the right time. Boom. They're like, this is somebody. Who's this guy? Or
so
whatever.
do they, I don't know much about the show. Do they normally pick known people, or have they ever used any kind of pseudo celebrities before? Is it? They
didn't until like Robert Griffin III was in an episode.
Who's that?
He's a player, a quarterback from Baylor
was
also, he was in the NFL. I think he was on the Washington Commanders now. So anyway, because he was from Baylor, so people from Waco, that's where Baylor is. So it made sense. People from the area, or that were moving to the area. So they had a few people right towards the end, and so we were the very last episode of.
Oh, really?
The final finale of the season, of the whole show.
Okay, so they didn't keep going after.
They didn't keep going.
You killed it.
We killed the show. There was like, we can't do any better than this. But they started like offshoots of the show after that.
So they pick you.
So they pick
but
us.
you have to buy a house.
We have to buy a house.
So part of the deal is, hey, we're going to put you on the show, but you got to buy a house.
Yes.
So how fast was that turnaround? Did they have houses to look at, or you had to pick a house?
We had a real estate. They gave us a real estate agent to like go around with, and so Holly
Did you get a good deal on this house?
booked a flight. It was whatever she could do. So,
But the show didn't have any influence on getting you a good deal.
not really. Maybe just a little bit.
Okay,
but not really.
They didn't upcharge the house because they knew you were going to be on a TV show.
They didn't upcharge. I don't think they did.
You got screwed.
Because we were just looking for ourselves, so
Yeah.
finding prices for ourselves. So it wasn't them giving us the houses. But anyway, Holly, my wife, flew out there. I had the kids, like little baby, and then like a little toddler. And I'm not normally with the kids by myself.
Mr. Dad.
For that long.
Mr. Mom.
Overnight, you know. Like,
Mr. Mom right here.
But I did it. I rose to the challenge, and she went and literally in 48 hours picked a house and bought it.
Did you need a house that needed fixing?
Kinda. I
Or
mean, a
you
little
could
bit.
just change it however fuck
You
you
could,
want.
yeah, you could. But we got a house that needed fixing.
Okay.
It was old. It was run down.
And so the point of the show is they come in with their people and help you remodel
Renovate. Yeah, they
and make some amazing thing out of this shithole that you had that was falling apart.
Yeah, and it's your aesthetic, your vibes mixed with
Their
Joanna's sort
yeah.
of designing and like what she would do. Oh, you like this, you like this. Okay, we'll get this.
So what the benefit of being on the show is that they cover some of this cost, or they?
The benefit is they do cover some of the costs, some of the design cost, and actually, I don't think they don't charge for the design part of it. You just pay
what about
discounted
construction costs,
construction, and all of the stuff in the house.
What's your estimated savings on this deal?
0.
You saved 0?
I'm sure that okay,
you didn't
I'm sure
save
I
any
saved
money?
a lot. I'm saying because if I wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't have to spend anything.
Oh yeah, so you spent
I spent a lot of money,
shitload of money.
Yeah.
But now you have a house, a famous
and I
house.
still have a wife,
a famous house.
Yeah, now I have a famous house. But
did they do a good job?
They did a good job. We like the house.
Quality construction
for the most part. Yes, there's a few things, but there's always things on houses that'll fall apart. So we had to replace our gate, but aside from that, it pretty much looks the same.
The gate was fucked.
Well, we did have a drunk driver smash through our whole fence.
Oh yeah.
Gate. So we had to replace that. We had to replace the
you can't blame Joanne on that.
No, I can't blame her. Can't blame her on the air conditioning either. That went out. But they didn't install an air conditioner. They just used the one that was already there.
Oh yeah.
So but I would say overall it was a good deal. They discounted like the furniture was like a percentage of what it would have been. So we kept.
So they decorated and like
furniture,
put it all in and modeled it, and that's pretty cool. So it was fun.
Or
was
it
a
was
pain
great.
in the ass.
No, it was fun. It was fun.
And you had to.
Cool.
So are you on the camera like what do we want to do? What
I'm pretty chill.
Or I'm just saying but that's part of the deal. But
kinda. I get in.
Most of the show is them like tearing walls down and building new walls, and
right.
and Joanne's the star, and she's like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. I just pretty much take a back seat to my wife. Like, okay, I definitely have an opinion on what I like and don't like, but for the most part, just let's make the wife happy. This is her house.
Yeah.
I've got I've got a studio in Bremerton that I decorate however I want.
The man cave.
The man cave, right?
The studio recording room.
I don't know if I should be offended by man cave because it makes it sound like I don't do anything there, but it's cool. Yeah, it's basically a man cave because it is. I mean, it's my office, but it's a musical studio house. That's just me and a bunch of
fucking cool
instruments.
At least it was cool last time I was there.
It's even better. It's even nicer. Love it. So anyway, I was kind of thinking like, this is her thing. I'm going to be supportive. It's
pretty cool that you got that though. Like you tweeted and it sparked it and
pretty wild.
Jumped on, and now you have a house in Texas. And I'm going to have to come see this house.
Yeah, you should.
I haven't seen Holly in many, many years.
Come out.
She seems like she's doing well.
She is. She's the smartest person I know.
Oh, Holly Pop. I mean, she's smart enough to stay with you, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, insane. 2 kids.
Yeah.
House in Texas. How much time are you spending in Texas?
It's
not a lot.
It's
her family's
a couple months
close,
a year, maybe a few months a year.
Does she spend more time here with her family than And you stay home sometimes?
Sometimes. If I'm working,
Yeah.
I'll fly out from here while they're here and do shows. I already did this trip, go to, do Goldfinger shows. I'll do MXPX. MXPX shows, I would always fly home first.
Yeah.
And then fly out because I fly with the guys and we rehearse and do our thing. So yeah, it is a little harder to get some of the work done here, but we have the internet, we have things we can.
But you don't have any recording abilities.
Not really, no.
On this side.
No, I'm just writing and I'm recording just one track demos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the last project other than your own music that you recorded? Has it been it's been a while, you said?
Vic Fuentes was in from Pierce the Veil.
Yeah.
He was in songwriting. That was maybe a couple years ago, like right before the album that they have out was when he was in songwriting. So like that was sort of like a studio situation, but I had nothing to do with it. I just let him come in. And so honestly, I don't remember.
But you're not accepting
just friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. If friends want to come in, like I've always said to Chris Rowe from the Ataris, hey, if you ever need a place, you can always use my place, He's never taken me up on that offer.
But you're not trying to produce anybody else's music.
No.
Like currently.
No. It's just, I feel like at this point, I got so many songs I'm never going to
finish yourself.
Finish. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I just need to write. Anytime I have free time away from performing and promoting and the business stuff, I'm going to write, I'm going to record my stuff and get it down.
Well, cool. Yeah, I think I remember you having like all your merch backstop at your mom's place.
Yeah. My parent, right, currently that's where the warehouse is. It's outside my parents' house, but it's in the detached garage.
Yes.
It's converted into
so it's the same
merch warehouse. Yeah, there's a screen printing shop in there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, your parents have always been like a part and in and supportive and I mean
they're awesome. They've been amazing. Killer. They still help out a lot. I mean, my mom's been she's been on the verge of retiring, but she's still kind of part of stuff. But like we've been turning it over to our new store manager, and end of an era coming up.
Well, super cool, man.
Yeah.
Hustler.
A little bit,
Hustler forever.
Hustler, but not, because it's like,
well, busy man, staying busy, working hard, never stopping.
Yeah,
You're not.
But I do take time to like think and write.
Yeah, and but that's still hustling.
I guess it is.
You're still writing,
but
you're still doing. You're still working. You're working on stuff.
It doesn't feel like hustling. It feels like I'll write a song. Maybe I'll write 10 songs. 5 of those won't be on the record. You know what I mean? So like, probably half the songs will make the record that I write. And maybe some of those songs will get recorded, but some of them might just sit there as a demo forever.
Who are y'all working with to put all this stuff out? It's all self-released.
It's our team, Tom Chichilla.
But there's no
Brad Blanco.
You're not under another umbrella record label or anything.
No, just our own. Sometimes we license to other record labels or through and so we have a team. Mark Woodbridge does a lot of
nobody is putting influence on what music you put out.
Just our own team.
Yeah.
Our own team does have a say.
Yeah.
They want stuff that they're excited about. Well, of course, but they usually are. So it's like,
I mean, have you had the experience where you're with a record label and they're influencing what?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Before Everything and After was all the record labels' influence. The singles they released, we would have probably released Well Adjusted at the time as a single that was on the Super Bowl commercial. But we had all this momentum with that. And then they flipped the script and went to Everything Sucks, which is fine. It's a song. But things like that, you never know what could happen, and I don't dwell on those decisions, but you just, for the future, you make a decision to have the authority to choose your own single. Yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of thinking as kind of like an advice or a warning to younger bands out there. I would say the number one thing that I've heard people tell young bands is like, hold on to your merchandise. Sell your own merchandise. Don't sell that. Don't sell that away.
Is the thing that will save you.
Also, retain creative rights to what's going to be on the album. Retain your songwriting. do all these things. Own your own music. Own your own merch. Don't sell it to the quick buck, to the record label to start off, which I don't even think is that big of a thing anymore. I don't think record labels are giving $1 million advances to kids anymore. But, you know, Jim Heath, like, that's his main thing. He's like, he's like, my main job is t-shirt salesman. Like, he's made
that's what everybody says.
He's made more money selling t-shirts than he does playing music,
right?
You know, but the music is a part of it. You got to hustle and make that music so that people want to buy your t-shirt, blah blah blah. Yeah. But if he would have sold that merchandising off to somebody else, where somebody else getting a percentage of the merchandise, it would be a lot different world for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's one of those things where when it's too much for you to handle, and the money will come and it's worth the percentage you're going to pay for a bigger company. But when it's smaller, you really need that. You need to have your hands on that, because that little bit of profit is going to that middleman 100% of the time.
Well, the business person would say, when it's too big for you to handle, start your own business to do it.
Sure.
Instead of hiring some other business to do it.
And that's basically what we did.
Yeah. Which y'all gradually evolved into that perfectly.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And honestly, that's why we don't have to play all the time. You know, we're not here 2 times a year, 3 times a year or whatever, because that's going to kill us too. You know, you can't sustain that kind of touring.
Yeah, but it's also better to sell out once a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than it is to come back too often.
Yeah. All those things are true.
Well, good, man. Thank you for coming out, dude. Super cool.
Yeah.
And I got to get down to, you need to hang out more often.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
every time, you know, this has happened a dozen times that you're like, you're in Texas and I'm off traveling, or I'm somewhere and you're off traveling. Yeah. So I'm glad we were able to link this up today. I appreciate you driving down, and I hope to get to see the house.
Yeah, anytime.
The famous house.
Come on out.
The television house.
Brand new plumbing. We got all new pipes in that place.
Because it was old.
For the fixer-up.
When was the house built?
1900 something.
So it's it's
old, yeah.
And now it's fixed up.
Yeah.
I know that, you know, there's all kinds of things in Waco that surround around this Chip guy, right?
Yeah. The silos is the big thing. The silos.
Is that the same guy that's got the place, sells lemonade everybody goes crazy about? You know anything about that? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. There's like a sign that Chip says whatever, billboards or whatever.
Oh,
I've seen some billboards that say something about Chip driving through there.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. All I can say is HEB, you know, when I'm in Bremerton, I crave HEB, just having the grocery store.
For those of you who don't know, HEB, dude, you would think people wouldn't care that much about the grocery store. People fucking go crazy about HEB. They're like, whenever there's a new HEB going to open up, it's like the news. Yeah. People are like, there's a new HEB.
Our local one just got totally redone, and it's all brand new, and it's just like, wow, okay, this is nice.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
Cheers. Love you.
Love you too, man. And Holly, tell her I said hi.
I will.
Bingo. All right, guys. Make sure to follow
Mike Herrera TV.
Yeah. We got to tell him about all the shit you've got. He's got his own podcast. We didn't even talk about this.
Yeah.
You got your own podcast. Got your own podcast. Mike Herrera .tv, is that what it is?
Oh, just Mike Herrera podcast.
Mike Herrera podcast. And follow MXPX. We'll put all the links on the shit, and you can find out. And if you've never seen MXPX, you know, this is your reminder.
All right.
Check it out. Go to the Punk Rock Show. And everybody, thank you for watching. And remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, blah, blah, blah. See you next time. Hey, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Come on, guys. Click all those links. Push all those buttons, because it really helps us out and gets us out there to more and more peeps. What in the Duck podcast is produced by Audra Cabral and John.com Niederkorn. Our sound, video engineer, and editor is Courtney, Jr. Larkins. Initial audio video setup and intro music by Blake Balake Pinchon. And a big thanks to everyone that submitted questions. Y'all keep them coming. Email me any questions you would like me to answer to whatintheduckpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on What in the Duck. What in the Duck podcast is proud to be sponsored by Anchor Screen Printing. Anchor Screen Printing has been printing t-shirts and merch products since 1999. Anchor is the place for quality, small run items. At Anchor, every print is hand done by people who care about art. You can email anchorcustoms@gmail.com to talk about getting something printed for your company, brand, or shop. Anchor Screen Printing also has its own online merch store that sells Elm Street Tattoo, Cheap Thrills, Heart and Hand, Party First Safety Made Me merch, and much more. So go to anchorscreenprinting.com today and buy some cool shit. Or you can click the link provided in this podcast to shop now.